You're listening to The Starting Block on tavshow.com.
The following program is recommended for mature individuals and may contain material unsuitable for morons, cretins, and dishwipes. If you are a moron or a member of the PTL club, please turn off your radio, because we don't need any more stupid, narrow-minded, pencil-neck geeks who wouldn't know the First Amendment if it came up and bit them on the butt. Thank you.
Okie dokie, roll 'em!
Nothing to rearrange. Sometimes you just get a feeling like you need some kind of change. No matter what
we're on the starting block for another week. Big show as always. We've got muted word of the week. We've got story time. We've got journalism. We've got headline of the week. We've got Bears tweet of the week. Cancel everything. All that and much, much more here on the block.
standing tall on the wings of my dream. Rise and fall on the wings of my dream. Rain and thunder, the wind and haze, I'm bound for better days. My life, my dream, and nothing's gonna stop me now.
Greeno here from the starting block. On behalf of the block, we just wanted to let you all know that we're all in this together. Well, except if you have coronavirus, then stay the fuck away. But in every other situation, we're in it together. To all of you on the front lines, those of you turning a footstool, a wok, and a pitchfork into a home gym, those of you who have given your housemates a mental breakdown because you decided lockdown was a great time to learn the keyboard and the only thing you can play after 8 weeks is chopsticks over and over and over again. And those of you who are homeschooling and are now understanding the question you used to harass your maths teacher with of, when the fuck are we ever going to need to know this in the real world, is coming back to bite you on the ass. Just remember, like a 1990s Australian sitcom, we're all in this together. The days may be long, but in times like this, you can rest assured we will be here to waste an hour of your week, Friday nights Australian time, at dlive.tv/the starting block. So take care, social distance, whack on a mask, and subscribe to our show on iTunes. It may not cure coronavirus, but it sure will help us with our rankings. And isn't that really the most important thing right now?
Public Radio's loss is tavshow.com's game. You're listening to The Starting Block.
Hey, welcome to the starting block for another week. You've got myself, Greeno, and I'm joined by a man fresh off an altercation between his security detail and Britney Spears. Okay, Captain Damo, how are we, sir?
Very good, Greeno. Good evening to you, boys, girls, listenership, blockheads, millions, cuntheads around the world. Welcome back. It's been a couple of weeks. This is now officially the new season of the starting block, Greeno. As you know,
This year, I think we're already on a season 9.
Season 9.
So far.
That's
season
right.
9.
Season
with
9.
the amount of weeks we've missed.
And you know what? If you're a blockhead out there, which I'm sure millions of you are, then you should be appreciative. Like, how many programs would give you 9 seasons in a single year? You know, I mean,
Exactly.
you're getting spoiled here, right? As being a
100%. Kind of taking The Office as inspiration, where they did, only 6 episode seasons. We do 1 episode seasons.
1 episode seasons. That's right.
And take a week off to refresh, recuperate, come back the next week.
That's right, because it's a very labor intensive. It's an emotionally draining program. Obviously, Greeno, very deep, very meaningful. We strike a lot of chords and pull on the heartstrings regularly. So it's only fair that we give our audience an opportunity to get over it. And we thought that we'd kick off the brand new season of the block here, season 9 of. So I guess it's season 9 of 2023 then.
Season 9 of 2023, that's
right.
correct, yeah.
So next year, in 2024, do we start season 1 again, or do we continue with the seasons? I'm not sure.
Probably best to kind of say, because otherwise we're going to be into the hundreds pretty quickly.
That's right.
Best to kind of segregate them per calendar year. /season.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that won't be confusing for the audience at all. So 2023, season 9, episode 1, all right, of the block. We welcome back to the show our dear friend, long-time contributor to the program, Nice Gary.
Nice Gary!
The UK reporter, Brad_Everly. How you going, mate?
Hey, boys. How are you?
Good to have you back, mate. It's been a while. What have you been doing?
Episode 1, new season. Good to be part of the show again. It has been a while. It's been a very long time, actually.
Yeah, you haven't been on here for at least 9 seasons, as far as I know.
Easily 9 seasons missed from BE.
It could probably be like maybe the 10th year that I've sort of been around the framework. But
Hanging
yeah,
around,
you're right.
yeah.
Just like a bad smell. But yeah, no, this year I've decided to go back and play football. Some stupid reason why. I'm getting older and whatnot. But Friday night's the night, and I've got the night off tonight, so I thought I'd come and hang out with you guys for a while.
Fantastic. Well, welcome aboard. Good to have you back.
Now, for a bit of context, once again, opening the kimono, reason we had to get Brad in, general rule is we need 2 drunk hosts every episode. Now, Greeno's off the drink at the moment, so we had to get BE in to fill in the drunk host component the quota.
To be fair, I'm only ever drunk at the end of the show. At the start, I'm all right, but by the time we get to the finish, that's when I'm usually falling over the line, so to speak.
Exactly.
So hopefully you're pissed up, ready to go already, Brad. Is that fair?
Well, I was at the pub at 4:05 this afternoon, straight after work. So I'm nicely primed. We'll see how we go.
Yes, a couple of looseners.
That's it. 5 hours in, he's doing well.
Fantastic. Now, we've just got the cricket on in the background, by the way. It's probably going to be a little bit of a sports-heavy show today because whenever Braddles is on, we do tend to talk about sports a little bit more. And I would just like to... Can we just kick off the show with a little bit of cricket talk? Because I didn't watch any of last night's play. When I went to bed, it was about 1 in the morning, and we were on the ropes. Mark Wood was tearing us apart, and I was listening to the call with the great man, Damien Fleming, Greeno, the bowlologist. He's on SEN.
SEN?
SEN, yeah, it's good stuff. And the bowlologist was, because he's always like very pro-Australian, obviously, but like he's one of my favourite commentators. And his rationale was, look, I don't mind if we get bowled out tonight because I want to have a crack at him. I want to have a bowl at him. Mark Wood was tearing us a new arsehole last night. He ended up taking 5 for 30 odd. We were like 4 for 200 and something at one stage, and like very well on top. And the bowlologist was like, I think we were 8 down when I was listening, and he's like, you know what? Let's have an hour at him. I just want to see what we can do. And then, sure enough, sure as shit, we took 3 wickets. But there was some talk about their down a batsman, so I'm not sure, or a bowler. I'm not sure what's going on there. Is someone injured or something in the English team?
Yeah, one of their players got injured. So what they did is they brought in an extra bowler as well. So Woods was obviously the key bowler of their squad that's been out injured for the first 2 matches, but. They also threw in like Ali's back as well, the spin bowler.
All-rounder though, isn't he, Moeen Ali?
Yeah,
I'd use that term very loosely.
Like bowling all-rounder. He's like the Michael Nisa level.
I'd say he's more of a batsman, honestly, than a bowler, wouldn't you?
He was fucking retired, man.
Hang on, Scotty Bowler, mate. We're going up for a review here.
It's a very good
That's
shout.
out, mate. That's
no edge.
There's no edge.
And here we go. No edge, and that looks pretty. I was worried about line there, but
It's not hitting in line, but it's definitely moving a bit. So.
Middle stump. Thanks for coming. He's gone.
Oh yeah.
Oh wait. You're
gone.
5 seconds ahead of us. Umpire's call. Get out. Oh bullshit.
Oh, you kidding?
Change your decision.
Impact umpire's call.
Umpire's call. So that's not out.
was pitching
Wow.
outside.
There you
Because
go.
Pretty close.
Look at Stokes
When-
looking at the
when
wicket going, I don't know what's going on. It's a bit of a weird wicket, this one. And it's like, hang on, your guys were, what were we bowled out for? 263, I think, in the end?
263. Yep.
263. They're 5 for 90 odd. And he's looking at the wicket like, I can't explain this. It's like, no, hang on a minute. Like, that's the same wicket we played on yesterday, mate.
We were 4 for 85, and then we end up with.
Have a look how far
5
down the
for
pitch he was
40.
there, and that ball still hit the stumps. This thing's staying low.
Yeah, and it's swinging a lot. Like Starkey was getting it to move, but let's have a look at Boland here. Yeah, Boland's not really swinging it, but he's not really a swing bowler, is he?
Oh, that's looking nice there by Scotty Bowl. Sorry, you were telling a story. Bowler just 3. They took 3 wickets end of the night.
Yeah, so they were 3 down at the end of the night, and I there's something that's very satisfying about. Hopefully, we go on and win this test, and then go 3-0 up, and it's all over. But there's something very satisfying because I don't know about you guys, but I listen to a little bit of Pommy radio during the week when I commute to work. Talk Sport, a little bit of Talk Sport. We've got a Talk Sport clip later to go over later on in the show. And I was listening to it, and the fucking whinging after the last test, my God, it was fucking next level.
I stopped.
Cheaters,
I didn't
cheaters.
watch most of yesterday's play for that reason. I'm like, I cannot hear. And that gets us very nicely to muted word of the week. Had to mute a couple, unfortunately. Had to mute Bairstow, had to mute Carey, and most importantly, had to mute Piers Morgan.
Because
that fucking
you should have
whinging
muted
cunt
him a long time ago.
did
That's your
not
fault.
stop. No matter what. All week, whinging. Shut the fuck up.
Well,
Move
isn't
on.
it so satisfying now, though? Because all I heard in the lead up to this test, it was only 3 days in between, and it was like, oh, we're going to give them stick when we're out the ground. We're going to give them fucking hell. They're fucking pretty quiet today, aren't they? 5 for 97, the Poms.
Yeah.
So,
They've given him nothing.
yeah, there's very little sound coming out of that stadium right now. So thank you, boys. Nice, Gary. Hopefully we go 3-0 up. And I just want to put a nail in this whole, Bazball dick suck fuck fest that's been going on for the last 18 months. Because the English team have been going around constantly for the last year and a half. So, again, sniffing their own farts as if they've reinvented the game, right? Oh, no, we play ramp shots, therefore this is totally different. Fucking arsehole. I remember watching that Sri Lankan keeper, Greeno, what was his name? Kaluwitharana. I remember watching him do that shit in the early 90s. This isn't new. This has been done before. You're not reinventing the wheel here. I really just hope we drub them. Like, I really want to see a drubbing. It's been a long time coming for an English Ashes win. You know what I mean? So fucking do 5-0 for Gary.
I know they're 2-0 down, and obviously changes need to be made. But what's been shown is they don't know what their best lineup is. Because how many different? This is what their 6th different bowler they've had so far in 3 tests.
Well, to be fair, Wood would have been in there from day one if he was fit.
And Josh Archer.
Yeah,
And
Josh
Josh
Archer.
Archer. I'm talking about the people they've picked. They obviously don't know what their best lineup is. Where I think Australia know what their best lineup is. It's just a matter of rotating out, like based on conditions.
Or form, because Starkey didn't play the first one because of form, they told us.
Yeah, well, I think because they were trying to, I think that was strategy, right? They were trying to counteract Bazball by going, well, let's pick our most economic bowlers. And then they're like, well, this is silly because it didn't end up working anyway. Bowling got hit around a fair bit. So, but we've got a nice rotation here where we can go, okay, well, test 2 in comes Starkey, out goes Boland, and then test 3, that's all right. We'll bring in Scotty Boland and Josh Hazelwood can have a rest.
I think the main difference between, say, this Australian team, and this Australian team is a very, very good team. The difference between this Australian team and, say, maybe dominant Australian teams in eras gone past, I think it used to be said that it was more difficult to get out of the Australian team than it was to get in it, right? Back in the day. And I think what they've done now is they've got a squad of, say, 15 or 16, and those 15 or 16, they're included in everything. They're all part of the squad. If it's not Boland, it's Hazelwood, and Renshaw's around the team, and so they've got a couple of batsmen in the wings, and it just creates a little bit of healthy competition. So I'm not sure we have a best 11, but what we do have is a best kind of 15
a best
squad.
15, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, whereas
It's quality rotation.
Yeah, and it's healthy competition too, and just say you get dropped for a test, that doesn't mean you're gone and out of the team like it used to mean. Like, remember back in the day, you got dropped, you weren't getting back. You'd have to fight your way back for years to get back in the team. Whereas nowadays,
well, Gillespie got dropped halfway through the Ashes, and that was it. He retired.
That was it. He was
bowling
finished.
like absolute shithouse. So
Yeah,
that made sense.
well, Matty Hayden got dropped early on in his career, and it took him like 4 or 5 years to get back in. Simon Kadich is another example.
But these guys aren't getting dropped. It's a rotation policy with a bit more common sense applied to it.
Well, it's like you're not.
you know,
it's like you're not in good touch at the moment. Let's take you out of the starting 11. We'll put you back into the squad. You'll work on your game, and then your next opportunity is just around the corner. Oh, he's fucking knackered him there, Starkey.
oh, yep.
Right in the
Smacking
box.
the cock that.
Fantastic. And they look pretty quiet there, the English fans, don't they? Not a lot of cheering and chanting and hooting and hollering going on in the background. Funny that.
Can I give you a little bit of a stats man, Damo?
Please, let's do it.
I'm a scat man.
Did you know that Australia have won more Ashes tests in England than what England have won in England?
Is that right? That's fantastic.
Yeah, so out of the 340 matches, Australia's won 140 of those, and England's only won 108
Nice,
on
Gary.
English soil.
Nice, Gary!
Gary. And hopefully soon to be 141, I guess, by the looks of it.
Yeah, we haven't won the Ashes in England since 2001.
01.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
been a long
right.
time.
It was, I think it was 4-1 in that series, which is quite rare in England because it rains so a lot. But we've always retained the Ashes in between, but we've never actually won
Well,
them.
no, we only retained it last time in the 2019.
Last time we lost it, the other three in the middle.
Yeah.
Obviously 05 was the big one, and then we just Ricky in 09 still couldn't get the job done, and then we lost again.
And
13.
I remember distinctly because I was doing a truck driving job at the time where I was going up and down the coast. So when England won here, the Ashes they won here, that was the first time in like 30 years for them. It was the 10-11 series where Alistair Cook and Andrew Strauss just fucking destroyed us. We had no pace. Pete Siddle was our number one bowler.
Asparagus spearhead.
Yeah, who's don't get me wrong, very good, like kind of blue collar, serviceable, like Andy Bickle type bowler, but he's definitely not a number one strike option, and he was the best one we had at the time. And they beat us. I think it was 3-1, but it was so much worse than that. Like I think 2 games they won by an innings. They absolutely destroyed us. I think after we won the first test. So it would be nice to get one back on them. And I heard it mentioned, actually, it was I think it was Michael Vaughan who said this on the BBC broadcast. He said the thing you got to remember about these Australians is, there's a lot of really great Australian players in this team who have never won an Ashes on English soil, and they are fucking hungry for it. He said this before the first test, where everyone was like, "Oh, England's going to win."
They've said that for the last, how many years? 22 years.
Yes, but the difference is this time. But Vaughan was making the point, this is probably going to be their last chance, right? So guys like Warner, Khawaja, Lyon, they're all coming to like the end of their careers.
Yeah, fair call. Yeah, we're talking some of the all-time greats of Australian cricket who have never actually won an Ashes on English soil.
Steve Smith, Smithy's getting.
I can
to
see
the end.
Smithy batting for another 4 years.
I don't know. He's always
He just
said
loves
that-
his cricket, man.
He does, but he's always said like he's not, he doesn't see himself as being someone who's going to play till he's 40. I don't think.
40. He's only 30. He's only 33 now, is he?
No, he's like 34, 35, I think. So he's getting on. He's getting on, and if it might be one of those things. If he wins this Ashes series, that might be enough for him, like just to check that box and then check out.
Yeah, 34 years of age. I can see him going back around and playing till 38.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't always work out though. Like Ricky played till he was 38, Ponting, and we probably wish that he didn't because he didn't. Yeah,
he had that slight little renaissance where after he handed over the captaincy, and then he stuck around just a little bit too long, unfortunately. There,
yeah, that's right.
For Ricky.
Yeah, so I mean, I really want to see us win this, 3-0 at least, 4-0, 5-0 would just be fucking epic, wouldn't it? On English
I just want to
soil.
win it. I don't give a fuck how we win it. Let's just win the Ashes over there, and then anything else is just the piece of resistance. It's all good.
And shut their fucking crowd up. Shut the fucking whinge and fucking bobbies up.
I just want to win this one so I can relax and it doesn't matter what happens in
Yeah, the rest of the way.
I'm like, there's just so many things that I want in life, and it's like Ashes is one of them every time.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to dominate. So, I mean, you can't get better than a 2-0 start. The only time that an Ashes team has won the series after a 2-0 start was back in the 30s, and it was Australia, I think. And they had Don Bradman. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Don Bradman was playing. And I don't think Ben Stokes is at Don Bradman level. You know, he's a good cricketer, but he's not quite there yet. So we should be okay. Fingers crossed, anyway.
The old Bazball thing's been very quiet this test. I haven't heard an awful lot about it, but then you look at Mitchell Marsh, who's hit 118 off 118.
Yeah,
and
talk about
they've said nothing about that. Yeah. Even Todd Murphy chipped in with a 108 strike rate. I mean, they want to play Bazball, we're playing Test cricket, and it's working out for us.
Yeah, I will be glad to see like the end of this kind of Bazball, like I said, this Bazball fuckfest situation that's been going on, because it is a little bit silly. I think they've been believing their own hype, you know, for the last 12 months. And look at who they've played. Okay, New Zealand's a good team.
They haven't been for the last couple of years, though.
No, they haven't. But they're still a good team.
They were in the World Test Championship against India last year.
They were.
Not last year. That was like 4 years
last
ago.
series. Sorry, last series. Sorry.
Yeah, that's like 4 years ago. So I mean, since that last cycle ended, like I think they were pretty low down on the rankings. I was quite surprised.
They're still not. They're not easy beats though. They've got good players. You know, they're a tough team to beat. You've got to beat them, but they're not easy beats. The other teams they've played were Ireland and shit. You know.
Bazball will work against that.
Of course. Oh, here we go. The new boy's getting a bowl. Let's have a look at him.
Nice, Gary.
Have you ever seen him bowl? This fella. He's obviously
he bowled in India quite well.
Okay, I didn't get to see him. I reckon he was picked personally by Dan Vittori because clearly he's got glasses on. So well done, Dan.
very nerdy there in the glasses.
Isn't it funny that both teams have coaching staff from New Zealand for whatever reason? So Dan Vittori works on our coaching
two
staff.
of the greatest New Zealand players ever, though.
Yeah, Dan Vittori and Brendan McCullum. I still rate you Chris Cairns, Greeno. He's probably my favourite New Zealand player.
He's my favourite, but if you look at overall, you know, production.
Oh,
you're probably
no, Williamson.
Those two are probably
Kane
top three.
Williamson's probably.
That's what I'm saying. They're top three. I'd go probably Kane Williamson, then Dan Vittori, then Brendan McCullum.
Well, this is definitely a Dan Vittori pick. He's got a bit of a wingnut about him too for the wind resistance. Let's have a look at him.
See how he goes.
Yeah, so he's.
But no, he bowled very, very well over there in India. So,
so he's an offie, is he, or?
Yeah, when Lyon went down, I was like, look, Murphy kind of showed that he's the goods over there in India. So,
they're going to go after him, surely.
100% they're going to go after him, but that might open up some opportunities down the other end. They'll probably bring Starkey back on, maybe.
Yeah. He's just put two down the leg side, so it's not a good start. Anyway.
He came out in the press and he said he's invited them. He said, come after me. Go for it.
Yeah, right. Okay. I mean, I wouldn't be encouraging that with Stokes at the crease, to be fair, just quietly.
Go after him after Stokes is out. That's probably a good idea.
That's right. Then you can start trash talking. Is he pointing out the crowd here? I mean, Nathan Lyon's been such a central part of this team for so long, hasn't he?
100 straight tests, mate.
Yeah, I know. So it's like anyone who steps in, you're going to think, well, he's no Nathan Lyon. So the same thing happened with Warney, but didn't it? I guess.
Oh, yeah. Let's hope this guy is the next in line and we don't go through 700 spinners before we find another good one. So
no Bryce McGain's, Greeno.
No Bryce McGain's, no.
Frazier.
No Crazier's, no Ashton Agars.
Ashton's all right for a one-day player, I think, though.
One-day player, we're talking, not for test, though.
No. Who does Murphy play for? State cricket?
Victoria,
of course. Another fucking Victorian. Had to be, didn't it?
Nice, Gary.
It's like no Victorians in the team.
No, but to be like the new Warney. Like we've got to get a Victorian.
Well, no, it's not the new Warney anymore. Now it's the new Goat.
The new Goat, yeah. The new Lion. The new Gary.
Exactly.
He in the fourth test in India, he took 7 for 124.
Yeah, but it's India. They always have an asterisk.
Yeah, this is the true test. Like, you know, those Indian wickets are ridiculous.
It's green enough for him. We can have a go.
See how we go. All right, should we do some story time, Damo?
Yeah, please. All right, I was waiting for you to take
I
over
like
the show.
stories about pinatas.
Just kept talking, waiting for Greeno to kick in and do his thing. Yeah.
I didn't want to interrupt. You guys are talking cricket, so good. So going to do a bit of Greeno off last week because guts got cut open. So as always, any kind of situation always ends up in a story time, Damo.
Yeah. Now, for those who weren't around, recap: why were your guts cut open, quote unquote?
So it turns out I had a couple of abdominal tears with hernias inside abdominal tears.
Which you made worse by getting on the gym equipment thinking that you were getting fat. And you thought, well, I need to pump harder, in order to get rid of this fat that's growing out of my abdomen, which ended up being a couple of hernias, Greeno.
Hernias, exactly. So the scans had shown two, Damo.
Stuck in the pain. Yeah.
I'd already gone in, already done the prep, and it was like, okay, we're all good. We're going in for two hernias, and you know, we'll deal with the situation there. No dramas. Everything all on plan.
Now, did you get the hernias because you were doing too much pump to begin with? Or?
Yeah, I think that was a problem. I'm probably lifting inadequately because I don't do anything else that's lifting other than gym-based work. So
no cardio, Greeno. You're not doing any cardio.
I do cardio as well. I'm just lifting wrong, I assume. So we'll address that.
Yeah.
So arrive at the hospital on the day and rock up to reception. I'm like, yep, here to get the guts cut. Show me where I need to go. And they're like, look, cool. Here's your paperwork. We'll just get you to check over it, and then we'll get you on in.
Did they offer to put it in a jar for you and take it home when you were done?
Big jar of guts.
Yeah.
No, they didn't, unfortunately.
Souvenir. Put a little pickle brine in there. Yeah.
A little, but on display for anyone coming over.
Yep.
So get the paperwork, and first line, name, and I'm like, well, there's an error. Next line, email address. There's an error. Next line, address. There's an error. I found 9 errors in the paperwork, Damo.
What do you mean errors? Like
you getting
spelling
worked on?
mistakes? Or?
Yeah, spelling mistakes, incorrect.
From
like
the hospital?
Street. Yeah, from a hospital. Now, I filled in the online form online, so I know those details were correct. And I just assumed they transferred it directly off my online form into this new paperwork. No.
You do know, for those who aren't sure, yes, Greeno does in fact know his own name and his own address.
Yeah.
He didn't get it wrong, you know.
So, Mark and I just assumed that was it. Obviously not. Someone sat there, taken my form, retyped out my form onto a different sheet instead of just having like direct data transfer, and then made a bunch of fuck ups in turn. Wow. My wife's name was wrong, next of kin was wrong. I was all over the shop. So I'm like, well, yeah, I need you to fix all these.
I'd be worried too, because it's those kinds of situations where you think, well, I'm going to wake up and they're going to cut my testicles off or something, you know.
100%. That's why I make sure I check specifically surgery being undertaken. We are all good. Wanted to make sure the left ball was still there when I woke up.
They didn't make a mistake on the gut cutting part.
The gut cutting was still there. The gut cutting was correct. Yeah. We were all sweet there. But the paperwork day. So I handed back to the lady. I'm like, look here, man, there's 9 mistakes here. I need you to address all these. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry about that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's fine. You can make mistakes here. Just make sure they don't fuck up in there. That's like, make as many errors on this bit of paperwork. We are all good. Just don't do it in there. We'll be all right. I thought there was another wicket there. I just realised I shot a replay.
Highlights. You know what I want? I really hope they get Bairstow out the same way again. Like throw the stumps down again, you know, just to fucking rub it in. Yeah. Like he hasn't learned his fucking lesson, this fucking porker.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got the chance to see the group chat before the show, Damo, but the Raiders scored their first try tonight in the NRL, and their try celebration was the corner post, and they reenacted the Bairstow dismissal.
Oh, fantastic.
Nice, Gary.
Well done. Love it. Absolutely. Sorry, we've interrupted his story time.
I like stories about pinatas.
Sorry, mate. No, all good. So get on in there. They take me into the prep room. Now, firstly, the lady was very happy because they're like, oh, we just got to shave. We're going to shave you down. Now, I'm a very hairless man overall. So when you lifted up the shirt, show the old tum-tum, I was like, you don't have much work to do here. And she was like, this is going to take me 12 seconds. This is amazing. So we're already off onto a good foot there with the admissions nurse.
Okay.
So she's then going, I said, oh, look, cool. You're all prepped. You're all good. Everything's ready to go. Now, what I didn't realise,
It's funny you mention the shaving thing, Greeno, because if I had to have a similar operation done, I'd have to go in for a week beforehand.
Yeah,
before
you're
the
a good
surgery.
2 hours locked in beforehand just to shave down your chest.
Greeno and I have been best mates our entire lives, and we've always been like at opposite ends of the spectrum on just about everything. But for whatever reason, we click and we're best mates. And so he's hairless, like he would be like the hairless kind of Chihuahua kind of
Like
situation.
a hairless Chihuahua. That's
yeah,
right.
and I'm like the
And you're a
Saint
Beethoven
Bernard.
dog.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. The fucking cerebral.
Nice, Gary.
So I'm like the Saint Bernard, hair everywhere with a bottle of fucking with a barrel
Bottle of
of
bourbon
bourbon
around
around
your
my
neck.
neck. Yeah.
Spot on. Now, what I wasn't aware of, though, is in the surgery, you're basically you're nuding up. I was not aware of this. So they give
Nuded
you,
up?
obviously, your schmock.
Oh, of
but they're
course.
like, oh, no, everything off. I'm like, oh, okay.
Didn't know it was going to be that kind of a party.
I didn't realise, and that got me concerned. I went and quickly double-checked the paperwork again, just to make sure. Just go, yep, no.
Are they
we're still
cutting my
just doing
nuts
gut
off?
cut.
Or?
Yeah, double-check, because why can't I wear underwear? This is weird. But apparently it's all above board. So I'm laying there like, okay, cool. Just watching, like, you're in the prep area. Like, okay, you're all ready to go. I said, oh, what time am I scheduled for? They're like, 3:30. I'm all right, no dramas. And this was only like 2 o'clock. And then next thing I know, they come in and they're like, oh, no, they're calling for you now.
Oh, no, they're rushing me. I don't want you to rush. I want you to take the next couple of
take your
hours,
time,
look
right?
at my file, sharpen the fucking scalpel, make sure
Yeah.
everything's above board,
Yeah. So I get in there, I'm like, okay, so they put me into like effectively the surgery waiting bay, which has nothing. There's no TV there. You're kind of just behind a curtain and you're outside the operating theatre just waiting to go in. Now, because they've taken off my watch, there's no clocks around, you're kind of just waiting there. And I'm like, I feel like I've been here a while. This is a bit like, this is strange. And the clock virtually is still ticking. And I'm like, just kind of like trying to amuse myself because there's not much to do. And after about 2 hours, it must have been about 2 hours, someone finally comes out. And I'm like, I pretty much did. I'm like, what's going on here? And they're like, oh, look, what happened is we called you over because the person before you, when we opened them up, they had an infected gallbladder. So we were going to cancel that surgery and bring you in. Oh. But the gallbladder ended up being so infected that they're like, well, we've got to do an emergency removal of that. Oh. So instead of going in early, I ended up going in 2 hours after I was scheduled because they had to do an emergency gallbladder removal. So I'm sitting in the waiting bay for 4 hours just doing fuck all, twiddling my thumbs,
thinking who the fuck is this gallbladder guy? Fuck him.
The gallbladder dude's pissing me off.
Fucking my day up, this prick.
That's it.
Yeah. Why didn't you get it checked 6 months ago like your wife told you, you selfish bastard?
Well,
I've been sitting here in the waiting room all day.
The other waiting bay that had a TV or something to do.
Game Boy. No, I'll take a Game Boy, an iPod
whatever.
if you got one.
Exactly.
Yeah, even if it's got fucking Taylor Swift on it, I don't mind anything to help pass the time.
That I'll pass. I'd rather the silence.
Yeah, give me the gallbladder treatment. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So eventually the doc comes out and he's like, he takes a big breath. He's like, all right, cool. Like, we're almost ready for you to go.
Okay. Did you wash your hands, Doc, at least?
No, the first thing I said to him, and I'm like, he goes, oh, we just spent 3.5 hours like just doing this thing. I'm like, how's it meant to take? He goes, hour and a half. And I'm like, so you've been operating for 3.5 hours. I'm like, are you about to take a break? And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like,
maybe you should rest up a little.
I want you fresh, man. Go grab a snack, go grab a drink. Like, take your time, man. I've already been waiting 4. Let's give another half, eh? Like, get some dexterity, we'll be all good.
Absolutely.
And he's like, no, I'm about to have a feed. We'll be all good. We'll come get you soon. Now, then the anaesthesis comes out. Now, I've never been in a hospital in my life, like for anything for myself. Never had any surgeries or anything like that. Definitely haven't been knocked out. That thing was a fucking trip. Because old mate, like, I didn't realize how much I was putting my life in that dude's hands. Because he's like, oh, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put you to sleep. And
count
then
backwards from 10. Did you have to do that?
I didn't even have to count backwards. He goes, they wheeled me in. He was gonna put you to sleep. You'll be out before you know it. And literally, I was out before I knew it. Next thing I know, I'm waking up cursing because I'm in agony.
Grabbing your testicles to make sure they're still there. Obviously.
Both nuts there. Yep, we're all good. We're good to go. Still got a cock. Yep, that's still there. Excellent. Everyone's a winner. But did wake up in screaming fits of swearing because it was just this weird thing. Like I just snapped out of effectively being asleep without realizing, and all I could feel was excruciating pain.
Oh.
So the first thing you do is just freak out. You're like, fuck.
Something didn't go right then if you were waking up during the surgery.
No, this is not during the surgery. This is after the surgery. I'm in the recovery bay.
Oh, look, I do that on a weeknight, like not even in hospital.
In recovery, mate, you should be just out of it, just telling jokes flat out.
Morphine.
It shouldn't be painful. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Pretty
Did you request the good drugs? Now, I don't want to interrupt your story, but when I was in for surgery, I requested the good stuff. I'm like, look, I've got a high tolerance to this kind of shit. You need to give me the fucking good stuff. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And they don't ask questions. You're in there. You're already paid up. You're already ready to go. They're like, all right, let's fucking give him the good stuff. That's what he wants.
Stuff. He's all good.
You got to make the most of it. It's like going to Disneyland when you're in hospital, Greeno. You'll only have as much fun as you allow yourself to have, So you got to make the most of it, brother. I mean, that's pharmaceutical grade, the shit they've got in there. None of this shit off the corner, off the street corner in Cabramatta.
They gave me the high school big boy speech with some of the shit they gave me as I left. They're like, well, these things, like, these are scheduled, whatever they are, only take X amount. They gave me the speech, drugs are bad. So eventually...
Drugs are bad. Your whole fucking industry is built on drugs. What the hell are you talking about?
So eventually get out, and then the doctor comes in. Oh, no, come back, call the
Oh, they're showing the Canberra... Greeno, sorry to interrupt. They're showing the Canberra Raiders tri-celebration on the cricket coverage now. Holy shit.
And the guy who was pretending to be the batter is English.
That's fucking beautiful. And the Pommies are laughing Mike Atherton's laughing for the first time in his miserable life. That's brilliant. Well done.
Very good.
Fantastic.
So finally wake up, get back to our room. For some reason, had a bad reaction to the anesthesia, so couldn't move without vomiting for 12 hours. That was a bit orcs. So I'm like, I'll just sit very still in my bed and not eat anything, and we'll be all right here. Eventually, the doctor comes in the next morning, and he's like, oh, did you speak to your wife last night? I'm like, yeah, I gave her a call. And I'm like, he goes, oh, did she go into specifics? I'm like, no, my cock and balls are still here, right? He's like, yeah, they're still there. He goes, we end up finding, I said, oh, yeah, no, the wife said you found another hernia. And he goes, no. Down the middle of your abdomen, everything was torn, and there were 10 extra hernias right down the middle that didn't get picked up in the scan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hang on. So I was still a bit out. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, I'll show you the photo, when you come into the rooms. We just fixed them all. And I'm like, yeah, good. Let's not fucking do this again.
While you're under the hood, if you notice the carby's got a bit of shit in it, clean it out. I know I'm here to change the diff and change the oil and shit, but if you do notice the spark plugs need switching out, then go ahead by all means. Just do
fix the sparkies and
while
move
you're
on.
there.
So
while you've got her opened up anyway.
The surgeon seems pretty good at finding other shit while he's in there, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Look, I'm afraid I can't even allow you to leave the hospital today. You're going to need 4 new hernia operations. It's going to cost you an extra $1,200. Legally, I'm not even allowed to let you walk out of here. I hope you understand.
Yeah, we gave you knee reconstruction while you were there.
Exactly. Thankfully, no extra bill from the doc. He just fixed the hernias free of charge. It's, buy 2 hernias, get 10 free. He had a good deal that week. So thankfully, that was all fixed up. Now, the thing that kind of stood out for me there, I'm not a good person at not being able to do anything. I got a person who needs to do 10,000 things a day, keep myself busy, keep myself occupied. Yeah. I get bored very, very fucking easily. Now, when I'm in a hospital bed and I don't have anything other than whatever TV they've got going on there, geez, that was a fucking chore for the day and a bit I was in. Now, there was question marks if I'd be released the next day after how I was overnight. They were like, look, you can't really move and you're vomiting everywhere. This is probably not a good thing to release you. I'm like, we'll see how we go.
If only they had a DVD player, Greeno, you could have been watching Beer Fest or reruns of Dawson's Creek.
I could have had Dawson's Creek. Yes. It would have been amazing. Everyone would have been a winner. I could have watched the DVD series of Fire with Toddy Goldsmith. It would have been sensational. But what I did notice is on the limited channels, I've never bothered to watch, when I watch the footy channel on Foxtel, I watched the game and then turned it off because that's all I care about.
Oh, no,
I
you got to
didn't
watch the
realise-
magazine shows, Greeno.
No. I didn't realize they just repeat the same shows over and over and over on a 24-hour cycle.
Yeah.
So I watched the same episode of NRL 360 8 times in a 12-hour span. I watched the exact same Matty John's podcast 12 times. So I'm like, well, fucking enough of this. I've watched all the footy 1,000 times already. I'll flick it over to one of the other channels. That was this
AFL
repeat.
footy show.
Pretty
AFL
much.
360.
Oh, that's a good ball. Then I got repeats of the same episode of The Back Page 12 times in a row. At one point, I was so over episodes of the same episode of Back Page and NRL 360, I ended up watching the new Sex and the City for a bit.
Oh God! Can
that
I
lasted
say, you know, your crusade
Yeah.
against Maccas that you've been going on for, I think, nearly 20 years now since
Longer.
you've had Maccas.
Yeah.
Well, I can say with my hand on heart and with pride that I have not watched a single episode of The Back Page since they fired Billy Birmingham. Greeno.
You're not missing anything.
That was my fucking protest, and I'm very
Yeah.
proud of it. You know, fuck you. I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah, definitely not missing. I must admit, I did watch the episode this week out of interest just because Kerry O'Keefe was on.
Oh,
And
that's
I'm like,
very
oh.
tempting. Yeah.
I'm like,
love
he's going to be
Kerry.
amazing. It's going to be great. And it was fucking as bad as I expected it to be, unfortunately.
Was Kerry good though? He's always good, isn't
Now,
he?
Kerry's always good. It was
Yeah.
just everything else, not so much.
Yeah.
They'd ruined Kerry, unfortunately. So
Jesus, they're peppering Moeen with the short stuff. They're really trying to hit him in the face, I think. Don't worry, he'll come out next week and say it's because they were racist. So
Nice, Gary!
Spirit of cricket. So eventually made a
Spirit
home
of
game.
cricket.
Spirit of cricket. That's what we should have named the show, in
Spirit of
retrospect, to be
cricket,
fair.
God, I was so sick of hearing that line. The spirit of cricket, the spirit of cricket. I was like, fuck off. Your fucking current batting coach got caught ball tampering twice. The only difference is when we caught our guys ball tampering, we sacked them for a year and turned them into a fucking humiliation. Like, it wasn't world cricket. This is the thing that these fucking idiot poms don't understand. It wasn't world cricket that suspended Steve Smith and David Warner. It was us. We fucking banned them from playing. We suspended them ourselves because we were like, fuck this shit. Everyone else does it. We fucking. I still resent them both on some level. Like, I've gotten over it, but I still resent them both on some level because remember, Greeno, at the time we were like, you know what really stings about this? It's because every other fucking team does this shit, and we've always been the team that doesn't. You know what I mean? We were the team that just fucking plays hard and fair and wins. And now
we did it. We just didn't get caught.
Well, we didn't get caught. So when we caught these guys, we sacked them and humiliated them, and they were out for a year and suspended. That's the reason that they were out for a year. These other fucking cunts that get picked ball tampering and cheating and stuff, they get a match fine. And then a country's like, oh, well, come on back. We don't really have anyone else, Marcus. And Marcus Trescothic's been busted ball tampering twice. And he kept getting back in the team. And now he's the fucking coach of the fucking
Nice,
team.
Gary!
You know what I mean?
Faf du Plessis got busted, and then
Faf
they made
du
him captain.
Plessis, yeah. Mike Atherton got busted doing it once, remember?
Yeah.
Back in the day. And then these fuckers have got the audacity to sit there and go, oh, the controversial Australians who were caught cheating. And it's like, you were fucking caught cheating yourself, personally.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Anyway, sorry to sidetrack.
Just
I
to
like
show-
stories
just-
about pinatas.
Just to show the difference in the suspension, so the ICC suspended Steve Smith for one match.
One
For
match.
for conduct contrary to the spirit of the game, while Bancroft was fined 75% of his match fee,
Which is fuck
and
all.
3 demerit points, and Warner got nothing. And Cricket Australia walked in and went, nah, fuck this. We're going to make an example of this because this is going to be out of our game. And they went, bam, Smith and Warner, 12 months on your fucking bike.
That's it.
Bancroft, you can have 9 months.
That's it.
So it was like one match versus 12 months.
Yeah, every other country just goes with whatever the ICC says, right? And we were the only country that made an example of our guys who got caught fucking cheating because we don't accept that shit. Yet now the pommies think that they have the right to be like, oh, Australians are fucking cheaters. And it's like, no, everybody cheats. The only difference is we punish ours and you fucking don't.
Nice,
Right?
Gary!
You fucking flogs. Bunch
And
of
Stuart
fucking
Broad was like-
flogs.
Stuart Broad was out there, and you could hear him in the stump mic saying to Carey, "Oh, you'll always be remembered for this, and it's not in the spirit of the game." Like, he was the big advocate for it, but he was the fuckhead that like smashed it to first slip and stood his ground like he didn't hit the ball.
Yeah,
like, come on, man.
Yeah. Yeah, well, see, I see. This is the thing, though. Stuart Broad can say shit like that, but the reality is, Stuart Broad will always be remembered now because he wants it that way. Because he wants it this way, he'll be remembered as a fucking pantomime. Right? He is the one who plays up to the crowd. He knows he talks bullshit most of the time, and long after he retires, he'll be seen as a fucking side, like, yeah, a good bowler who had some good spells and stuff. But he always plays up to the crowd. He wants to be the new Botham. He's a colonel. He's a fucking $2 store fucking version of Ian Botham. Stuart Broad.
He'll always be
Yeah, I kind of like that about him because he does play up to it and stuff. I remember when he first came out to Australia in his first Ashes tour, because he lived here for years when he was studying and he played cricket here and stuff, and he was kind of offended that everyone was like booing him and shit, and that's what kind of gave him like this hard edge, right? He was like, oh, well, I always liked Australia, and now everyone's being so mean to me because I'm playing cricket for England, and he took that and ran with it, and then he wants to be like the big villain and stuff, but it's all fake, it's all an act, it's all for show. You know, he's not a tough guy. He's not. He can mouth off as much as he fucking likes, as much as he wants, but it's not going to make any fucking difference. At the end of the day, 10 years from now, they're going to remember about Stuart Broad will be his acting, and he'll be like, you know, Botham, right? People don't talk about Botham's great cricketing accomplishments, do they? They talk about Botham. Oh, he's a character, right? And that's what Stuart Broad will be 10 years from now. They're not going to be talking about Stuart Broad, the cricketer. They'll be talking about Stuart Broad, the provocateur, the guy who wound up the Aussies. And that's how you're going to be remembered, mate. They're not even going to remember a game that you played, you know?
I'll remember him being Peter Siddle's birthday present. Hat-trick ball.
Hat-trick boy.
Nice, Gary!
Fantastic. Sorry, Greeno, your guts are getting cut open, mate.
Back to hospital.
Yeah.
No, I think I was done with that story off memory. Oh, no, that's right. End up discharging myself at the end because I'm like, well, I can't deal with any more of this fucking Backpage and NRL 360 shit. Go home, get my Dawson's Creek into me.
Beer fest.
Beer fest. So in the end, they end up having to put like a 10 by 15 centimeter like piece of mesh behind my abdomen. And I'm like, that seems quite large, doesn't it? The doc's like, yeah, it's pretty big.
To stop your guts falling out, was it?
So the guts falling back out while it all heals back up. So I'm like, let's think a bit of an A4 bit of paper behind the abdomen.
I'd be like mesh. Can't it still push through mesh? Why don't we get a bit of leather in there, a bit of cowhide or something? You know, something that'll last.
I think it's industrial mesh. It's not kind of that cheap, you know, over-the-counter fly mesh. It's a quality product.
Fly screen in there.
Yeah, no fly screen. We're all good. And we're keeping the mosquitoes out of this bad boy.
Yeah.
So,
the blowies.
Is it disposable? Is it
decompostable?
I guess.
No, it stays in there forever. So what's like, you know, not exactly a funny story. What I've got
forever mesh.
So for my rehab, basically, we're trying to develop scar tissue that grows over it behind, so it kind of like gets encased inside the abdomen. There you go. Fun fact.
So when you die and you get buried, long after you're gone, there's going to be a skeleton there with a bit of mesh on its belly.
Bit of mesh, yeah.
Old Greeno Gauze guts.
Yeah,
exactly.
You're basically like, you know, part robot now, aren't you?
Exactly.
Got a bit of technology in you. Next,
that's it.
After baseball, we'll get you the the metal fucking shoulder reconstruction, and that'll be you're basically becoming RoboCop, one surgery at a time.
Exactly, yeah.
Fantastic.
One piece by piece, we'll get there. So that's that story time. There we go.
That was a good story.
I like stories about pinatas.
How's the recovery going anyway? Are you back on your feet? Or?
Yeah, back on my feet now. So the first day, I physically could only do like 8 steps. That's about as much as I could do. And then slowly building up from there. So out and about a bit more now, able to move. But I last about 2 hours on my feet and then have to go a bit of a lay down.
Do you still think you'll be back for baseball finals in 4 weeks from now?
I'll be back, baby. I'll be
4
back.
weeks?
Mate, I'm taking this shit seriously here. Like I said, doing all my rehab, doing everything they asked me to do. No beers, no nothing, just keeping healthy. So, yeah, I'll definitely be back. I'll be
you know what's going to happen because you were in career best baseball form before you went down for this surgery. MVP.
about 700.
You know what's going to happen. You're going to come back and you're going to be rusty as hell, and you're going to go straight into the finals, and you're going to fucking strike out and miss ground balls. You're going to be like, "Fuck this," this isn't right.
Hey, Damo, you don't know the sad story though. They were undefeated.
Story.
I like stories about pinatas.
What happened?
I don't know if Greeno's told you this, but his team was undefeated due to his phenomenal stats.
Yeah.
First week off.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on, let's not paint over it. So, first week off surgery, first loss of the season. No Greeno.
Nice, Gary.
With my 8-0 to 8-1. First week I was out.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, just furthers my case for my MVP, even missing 6 weeks.
So will they be 8-2 after this week, or
We'll find out. The pressure's on, boys.
Pressure's on.
That were my parting words to my team when I'm like going to be out
Don't
6.
fuck it up.
Don't fuck it up. I'll see you guys in 6.
I fucking carried this team for the first 8 rounds, and I expect you to carry me into the finals now.
That's it. Yeah, just all you have to do is maintain the status quo. We don't need to be dominating. Just need to keep winning. See how we go. Hopefully the boys get the win this week. So it's all good.
Shout out to the boys.
So it's a weird situation when it hurts to breathe. That's something you don't generally have to deal with in everyday life.
Oh, I do. I'm a smoker, so
fair call. So that was kind of an adjustment period of like, how do I adjust breathing? Those kind of things, not being able to move in bed and shit like that. But aside from that, recovery is slowly getting there.
Okay, good stuff.
Just on the same topic, I don't want this to go too in depth, but a few months ago I had corrective surgery on an old football injury, right? And I had to fly to Brisbane for surgery, and I was that looking forward to it that they actually were concerned, and they said, "Are you feeling okay?" Like, this is in the room before you go into the surgery. And I said, "Yeah, I feel fine." Why is that? And she said, "Well, your heart rate's sort of going between 48 and 51, and that's quite low." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And they're like, "Are you a marathon runner?" I'm like, "Oh, fuck no." Do you go to the gym? And I'm like, "Well, I do go to the gym." And they're like, "Oh, that's probably the reason why." I'm like, "Well, let's not get too carried away here. I'm like, not an everyday gym. I'm just like, I go there to maintain health."
He's showing the beach bod.
I go there to drop off the mail.
Yeah. And they're like, "Oh, so are you feeling okay?" I'm like, "Mate, I'm looking forward to getting put into sleep by these drugs and having a good fucking sleep. Like, let's do it. Like, let's get it." Yeah. And they had to put me back up to the monitor and make sure that I was okay and fully functional and whatnot. I'm just, no, there's nothing wrong, guys. I'm ready. Let's do it. Put me to sleep. Let's do it.
Ready to fucking go.
I came out of the surgery actually. A day later, I went back into our group chat and I didn't realise that I took a photo in recovery and sent it to you guys.
Yeah, you'd send it to us. Yeah.
I was all hooked up and I was fucking off my tree.
It's still found time to take a selfie. I like it. Like, it's B's priority tree. It's like, at least get surgery done, selfie to the boys. I liked it.
Yeah. At least you had the option of pay TV or streaming services. I had the free-to-air Plus channel, so it was either, my phone or the gardening program on bloody ABC2 or something like that. I'm just like, fuck this.
You didn't have the trains show, did you?
Yeah. But it's good to hear that you're back on the mend anyway, mate, and hopefully it doesn't take too long.
Yeah, no, back, like I said, nice to be able to get back and do the show. I don't like missing shows, so I was kind of like pissed off last week, and I'm like, my wife's like, you literally got cut open 2 days ago. Like, you're allowed to miss a show. I'm like, yeah, but it's the show. I don't miss shows. Like, we're already up to season 9 for fuck's sake. Like, you gotta get this thing back on road. But yeah, no, good to be back.
This ain't no writers' strike. The fans demand that the show returns to season 9, Greeno.
Exactly, yeah, 100%.
Back out there.
Let's a bit.
Sorry, just to cut in there for a second. Speaking of injuries, it looks like Ben Stokes has picked up an injury out there in the middle as well.
Yeah, he's sooking it up, isn't he? He's stretching. Me back. You know what? I'm kind of fucking sick of him doing this too. If you're that fucking hurt, mate, why don't you fucking take a seat, all right? Every single game he goes out. You know why? Because he loves getting the hero plaudits. He loves everyone go, oh, he's such a warrior. He's such a battler. He goes out there every game and fights on even though he's completely injured. Is he though? Because he seems to keep keep getting out there and everyone keeps rewarding him for being out there whilst playing injured. But really, what does he do? He walks around and he stretches a little bit and he winces a little bit and goes, oh, I'm kind of sore. You know, fuck off. If you're that fucking injured, what are you doing out there in the first place? Fuck off. You should be like Nathan Lyon. Play until you can't fucking play anymore. To play 100 tests in a row, then we'll fucking talk, Ben.
Nice, Gary!
It reminds me of Andy Murray as well. He does the same thing in the tennis.
Yeah, it's a pommy thing. It's a pommy thing. Look, I'm a hero because I'm a little bit sore. Really? No, a hero is playing 100 tests in a row. Go fuck yourself.
Nathan Lyon couldn't use the steps in coordination when he went out to bat the other day.
That's right. And did you see when he went out to bat, Greeno and Brad? When he went out to bat, all the pommies were like, oh, this is wrong. If you've got no chance of scoring, you shouldn't come out to bat. This is the way they fucking talk. Oh, if you've got no chance of scoring, you shouldn't go out there to bat. That's not right. He's wasting everyone's time. And Ben Stokes walks out there and puts on the act, and they're like, oh, he's a fucking hero for going out there. They're so full of shit, these fucks. I've noticed it so much more this Ashes series, probably more than any other, and it's because they've been smelling their own farts for the last 12 months about fucking Bazball, thinking they came into this thinking that they were going to destroy us, you know? They genuinely believed it. Oh, no, we're going to play so aggressive. We're going to put them on the back foot. We're going to fucking smash them. And look what's happening. They're falling fucking apart. Ben Stokes is feigning injuries. They're whinging about legitimate fucking dismissals, calling it cheating. They're falling apart.
Let's take one step back, though. Like, falling
Stop
apart.
defending them, Greeno.
Both tests have gone down to the last day, last session.
Mentally, they're falling apart.
And a couple of runs.
Mentally, they're falling apart, Greeno. The fans are turning on them. The press is turning on them. Now they're pretending to be injured. You know, fuck off. Get the fuck out.
Well, I'm glad Stokes is injured because he's kicking our ass whilst he's got his fucking ass issue. Whatever.
It's not kicking anyone's ass. They're losing 2-0.
No, he's individually kicking some ass, though. 155, 24 not out. We need to break this partnership, by the way. They're getting a little bit too comfortable over there. What have we got on the rundown? Headline of the week, Damo.
Headline of the week.
You came across this?
Yeah, this is fantastic. This is one for the ages. Because didn't we touch on the headline of the week in the last season, Greeno, if I'm not mistaken?
We did, yeah. Last episode of last season, i.e. 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, the last episode of season 8. Yeah.
We had a quality headline there. We're like, that's going to be hard to beat. This one is right up there.
I think this one may beat it. Boston City Councillor Kendra Lara crashed into a house while speeding with a revoked license, injured her son who was not properly restrained. She was driving a car that belonged to a BPS teacher who filmed her naked with her son after having anal sex.
Nice, Gary!
That's a fucking headline, my friend.
There's a bit going on there. Once again, we needed our sex.
Break it down. Yeah.
All right, so let's start at the end, okay?
Okay, so you want to start with the anal sex?
Well, no, I need to work backwards here. So...
I see what you did there. Nice, Gary. Yeah.
Car belonged to a BPS teacher who filmed her naked with her son after having anal sex. Now, I'm assuming the anal sex was not with the son?
No. I think the anal sex... So, yeah, that's. They don't actually point out if they had anal
I feel like
sex,
it's lacking some commas.
or was it filmed after having anal sex but with someone else? You know,
with someone else, and then she's walked out naked in front of her son, and they filmed that, but they didn't film the anal sex.
Filmed her naked with her son. So no, she was naked whilst she was with her son after having anal sex. So
didn't have time to put the pants on after, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, do you want to hang loose after you have anal sex, Greeno, and just let it air out a little bit, maybe back there?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
My next question would be, which is the lesser of these two evils that happened to the son? You've got her filmed naked with him, or crash because he wasn't properly restrained.
Properly restrained. That's right. Well, he couldn't be properly restrained. He had a sore ass, Greeno. It's not his fault. He had to be bent over the seat. She crashed into a house while speeding with a revoked license. Now, that's also worth a shout, Greeno. You can't be out there with a revoked license. It shows she injured her son. And yes, I do think... Now, was the filming of the anal sex done during the traffic accident, which led to them crashing into the house, perhaps?
Yeah, was this all in the car?
Yeah.
What's the situation here?
I don't know. The best response, obviously, the first one. What the fuck did I just read? Couldn't agree.
Nice, Gary!
There you go. That's a fantastic headline. Love that stuff.
Well done. Headline of the week. Now we
That
go
was sent through by the Minister of Fun, Greeno, by the way, Kimmy.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Shout out to Kimmy.
Yep.
Well done, Kimmy. We go from headline of the week to, like, we like to call out quality. Like, we criticise journalism a lot these days, but sometimes you see journalistic integrity go to a new level where you're like, well, it's nice to see things getting back on track out there. And we came across this throughout the course of the week, which just kind of helped me get a bit more faith there in journalism and what we got there. From the Daily Mail US. Kevin Costner's first wife, Cindy Silver, shops for groceries 30 years after their marriage ended.
Nice, Gary.
Now, there's a lot to unpack here. I reckon there's more to unpack here than in the last headline, because the last headline's actually quite descriptive by comparison. It tells you everything that happened leading up to the crash and the anal sex and all that. But now, with this particular headline, Kevin Costner's first wife, Sydney Silver, shops for groceries 30 years after their marriage ended. I'm thinking, like, is this the first time that she shopped for groceries since their marriage ended? Because the way they write it, Kevin Costner's first wife shops for groceries 30 years after their marriage ended. It's like, well, what has she been doing this whole time? She been Uber didn't exist in 1993. You know, there was no home deliveries of groceries back then. So what's she been living off, Greeno? How did she get groceries if this is the first time after 30 years since the marriage ended? And she's finally become an independent woman, though, I guess, which is nice for her, isn't it?
It's been a rough week for Kevin, because I think I saw another article earlier where his current new ex-wife
new ex-wife.
wants, not the one from 30 years ago who hasn't eaten.
No, the most recent ex-wife.
The most recent ex. She wants $100,000 a month in, like, alimony payments. That seems excessive.
Well, if you live in California and you're rich, that's what you got to do. It's different in the States. Like, it depends what state you're in, how much, like, if that, so that alimony law, I think, is a very California thing, and it doesn't necessarily work in other states. I don't think that necessarily applies in other states. That's why you get so many people in Hollywood who end up having to pay ridiculous amounts of alimony, because I think it's like you have to cover their living expenses, whatever living expenses they got accustomed to while they were with you.
$1.2 million a year.
Yeah, so if I think that's the way the law works. Whatever living expenses they got accustomed to when they were with you, you are now obligated to pay that for like 20, 30 years into the future, which is nuts if you think about it.
That's absolutely crazy.
It really is. Like, Eddie Murphy did a whole bit about that back in the day, remember? It's like, yeah, Johnny, yeah. Here, Johnny, I made $40. Put that with the rest, you know.
Yes.
You ain't paying shit. Your one job is to fuck your husband. That's it. Fuck your husband. So
now we got $20 million and 40.
40. Put that with the rest.
Nice, Gary.
You're not going to get a job in a salon on the weekends and shit. Oh, fuck. I wish we could bring Eddie back, but we've been over it on the show. The reason that we can't have Eddie Murphy ever again is because his whole routine is saying nigger and faggot. So you can't, we're not allowed to do it anymore. So
Nice, Gary.
But yeah, there you go.
We get cancelled just for replaying what someone else said.
Well, that's right. 100%. Yeah. Whether you agree or disagree, it doesn't even matter anymore. Context doesn't even matter anymore. But the main thing is Kevin Costner's wife is finally out there getting groceries again.
Getting groceries 30 years after. Well done.
Well done. Yeah, she got over it finally, Greeno. She's the real winner here, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She hasn't stocked up real well after 30 years.
No, what has she got there? Like, it looks like bullshit, like flowers.
30 years and you pick up some flowers?
Actually, you know what? Let's have a look. I want to see what groceries she got. Did we get a peer into her little shopping cart?
She grab some milk? Surely. You'd want a bit of milk after 30 years?
Yeah, okay. What have we got?
Ice cakes and cocaine.
Yeah, no, this doesn't look like groceries at all, I've got to say.
No, she's not even, that's definitely not a grocery shop. That seems like she's gone for some flowers and she's got a reusable bags.
Yeah. It's amazing that someone picked her out, actually. Is this the new husband? Is it?
Has anyone questioned if that is actually Kevin Costner's ex-wife?
I don't know. So this is what she looked like back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So this has got to be Field of Dreams style here.
Yeah, this is Bull Durham, Field of Dreams, Kevin Costner.
Untouchables, Kevin Costner, maybe.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And here she is today. She kind of looks like a poor man's version of, what's that lesbian's name? Diane Keaton, Greeno.
Diane Keaton, there you go. I didn't realise Diane Keaton was a lesbian. There you go. I learned something today.
I just assumed she was, so I don't know if she is.
How dare you assume?
That's Father of the Bride, Diane Keaton, isn't it?
Was she in Father of the Bride?
Yeah, she was the mum.
Was she really?
She was the mother of the bride.
Okay, I remember in all those annoying old woman shows. Greeno.
The current like rom-com. But she was also
with
in
Bette Midler
Godfather.
and stuff. Was she in The Godfather?
Yeah.
Really? What did she do in The Godfather?
She was Michael's wife.
Oh, that's right. Nice.
Nice,
there you go.
That's very true.
Okay. Damo, look, we've criticised this level of journalism, but and things that are cancelable. But thankfully, there's still one man who's willing to speak truth, Damo.
Truth.
And that's the Bear. The Bear, Ian Maurice. We need to get a theme song for Ian Maurice's The Bear's Tweet of the Week.
I guess it would just be
thanks, Max Muchie.
Yeah, I was going to say that with a beat. Thanks very Max Muchie with a beat. And that's it.
You could probably use the soundbite from the 12th Man when he does the introductions.
Dun 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 dun. I'm officially over the following: governments and politicians, free-to-air TV, NRL, talk radio, biased media, and liars. Everyone else is lovely.
Nice, Gary!
The Bear.
Absolutely.
He's a man of the people, Greeno, isn't he?
Tweet of the Week.
Yeah. He's an absolute man of the people, Ian Maurice.
It's a shame it took us having to find the Bear on Twitter to get him over 1,000 followers, to be fair.
I love this. Legends of Sports tweeted at him, loved your work on Wired World of Sports. I'm going to like that. Give that one a like. Think you may be onto something there, Ian. Feel the same way. So he's getting a lot of support. You know what? We'll give Ian Maurice a retweet. How about that?
Get a retweet for the Bear.
Yep. Follow Ian Maurice,
likes.
by the way. Yeah.
Yep. Ian _ Maurice. Now, question. Is the Bear going to go over to Threads?
Now, see, you put this in the rundown. I don't know what Threads is.
Okay. So, BE, do you want to cover this one?
No, all yours, mate. I'm just watching the wicket the Aussies just got.
Oh, look at a wicket. Hang on. Fuck that.
We didn't get a wicket. It's still 131 for 5. Or am I behind? Oh, Moeen's hit it up in the air. He skied it. Yes, there's a man under it. And he's gone. Moeen's gone. We're into the bowlers now.
There we go, Smitty. Nice safe hands.
We could get them out for one. We could get them out for 150 here, and then the way they
150.
No, they're 6 for 131. So the way that again, the thing is, right, the way that these fuckers were carrying on last night when we were all out for 263, it was as if they'd won the Ashes. You know what I mean? Carrying on. And now here we are today. They could probably get bowled out for about 150 odd, and they're dead. There's nothing more satisfying during the Ashes than a fucking silent English crowd. You know what I mean?
The thing of beauty.
I love it. It is.
Nice work, Paddy. 4 wickets already, leading from the front, which is nice to see.
Going to get his own 5 for here, Paddy. And the difference is Paddy's going to get. He's got all the openers. He's got like the top order. Wood got the tail, didn't he? He cleaned up the tail for his fifer. To be fair to Mark Wood, like he's a good bowler and he's very quick. Oh no, he only got like what, maybe one of the top 5. I think he got Travis Head. Was it Khawaja?
Yeah,
and then Carey. He got Carey. Caught Wokes.
Carey doesn't count as a top or middle order batsman. He's a keeper. So
okay, all yours then. Good.
Yeah, so he got Khawaja, and then the rest were more or less tail enders.
He got Carey, Starr, Cummins, and Murphy.
Yeah,
good job.
So he got the bowlers. He got the bowlers
he did
out.
his job. You want your fast bowler to clean up the tail? No kind of carry-on runs?
Yeah, but
he did what he had to do.
But the difference is Cummins has got like from the number 2 batsman down to the number fucking 6. So he's going to get his own 5 as well, right? Well done. Fucking good.
You take away the Creek, mate, will be even Stevens, but nah. The Creek steps up.
Oh, no, he's the greatest Australian player who's ever fucking walked out there, obviously, the Creek. We love him. We've always loved him.
Let's give a nice Gary to the Creek,
we
to
should.
be fair.
Should we give him a sorry book?
No, fuck it. No.
Okay,
Let's calm down with the fucking sorry book.
He hasn't heard that yet.
Award, is it?
It's definitely a Mitchell Johnson award. Fuck yes, hit the Mitchell Johnson. Good call, BE.
I'll be back. I'll be back.
She'll be back.
I'm back.
I'll be back.
He is back. Because this dude hadn't played first-class cricket in 2 years.
Yep.
We talked about it when the squad was announced. We're like, Mitchell Marsh is in the fucking squad. The guy hasn't played Shield.
He retired from state cricket, Greeno.
No, he didn't. He just, because he's been playing a lot of T20. What the fuck are they doing? Swinging at that shit. I'll keep doing it. That's fine. And basically, out of the blue, they pulled him from the 100. He's over there playing T20 at the moment. I'm like, this is what can we get him some county cricket? Something. No, he was over there playing shits and giggles T20 stuff. Or the 100, whatever it is. And then, Green pulled up a bit sore after a mild hamstring strain. He's come in. I'm like, well, we're not hiding nothing here. He hasn't played first class, and then fucking saved this test for us at the moment. So
I've got to. We need to give a special shout out to Paddy Cummins, by the way. I don't know if you caught that or not, but when Smith took the catch, he actually turned around to Ben Stokes and gave him a thumbs up and said, "Is that okay? Is that all right?" Like.
Nice one.
Nice, Gary.
Is that a legit catch, or is that all right?
No, he might have actually been saying to the umpire, because there's been a lot of front foot no balls. He might have been going, was that front foot okay?
Okay, you know what? I'd like to think it's the other way, so let's just
run with it.
Yeah, we'll run with it.
Well, if it was Bairstow they got out, then I would have said, that makes sense. But because it was Moen, it's like, that's not really. But that looks pretty good. Starkey.
Oh, come on.
Oh, we've got Henry's joined us in the chat. Kitty B's in the chat, by the way.
Nice,
Good to see you, Kitty B.
Sorry to bore you all with this cricket talk, to be fair.
Kitty B won't mind. Kitty B won't mind because I think she quite likes the cricket. I could be wrong. I'm not sure. But I think she likes the cricket. Henry wouldn't know what the fuck cricket is because he's a proper American. So he'd be like, I don't dig on the cricket. This could be LB.
No, it's not.
No.
Nah, too high.
We just heard him again. That's all right. Ben Stokes is playing like he's been hit by a fucking grenade launcher yet again. Oh, what a hero. He's out there. He's such a hero for England, isn't he? Ben Stokes, he's taking all the fucking bullets, isn't he, Ben Stokes? Oh, he's marvellous. Yeah. Sorry.
Speaking of Stokes, did you see this is only a minor part of the game, but the boundary he supposedly staved yesterday?
No.
So he's slid along the ground. He's put his forearm on the boundary rope and flicked the ball back to his teammate. I'm not sure who it was. And they've done replay after replay. He clearly touched the ropes. And
Spirit of cricket, BE.
Spirit of cricket.
They've called it 2. And he's even turned around and put 2 fingers up to say it was only 2 runs. And
my
clearly,
hero. Yeah.
But I mean, to be fair, they've reviewed it and they called it the other way. But I don't know what the fuck they were watching.
Yeah, the whole thing where he was like, I would have withdrawn that appeal after the Bairstow dismissal. That I put it in that group chat. Well, I put it in that group chat. Bairstow's fucking constantly trying to throw the stumps down. He's constantly trying to do it to our players. So as if he would have fucking called it back. Fuck off. It's easy
Work's
to
just
say.
got the stinger to the head.
Oh, has he? Now see, you're too far ahead. You need to pause your coverage for at least, I reckon, 20 seconds. So
you got to speed up your coverage, Damo, because I'm about the same pace as BE.
I can't speed it up. It is what it is.
I can't pause it. It's live stream. I can't.
Yeah, same here. Stokes, even Stokes, that doesn't look good.
He's done well. He stood his ground, though.
Yeah. Stark, I miss the days when the bowlers would just turn around and walk back to their mark, though. Stark's gone up to check on him. I miss the days when he would just turn around and say, fuck
Nah, see, I prefer that. I like him going to check on him. Like,
not
Spirit of cricket, Damo. Come on.
Spirit. Fuck off with this Spirit of cricket shit, Greeno. There's nothing wrong with playing hard.
I think once there was a fatality in a bouncer, there was
that changed cricket forever. That so
they still do it, but there's quite concern now by both teams.
Yeah, 100%. People realise that
it's a game. No, I'm sorry, he didn't fucking drop dead. He's still standing there on his own 2 feet. There's no need to go up and check on him. It's like, well, he's fine. Tell you what, if he dies, send me a memo. Okay, if he dies, I'll send him some of Kevin Costner's ex-wife's fucking flowers. Okay?
Do you like your novelty comedy songs organic? Handmade with painstaking care, put into every note? Well, look no further than Irrational Times. using only the finest instruments to create an experience that your ears will thank you for later. Irrational Times attempts to elevate the whimsy to a desirable level. New songs and sketches every week, so check it out.
There's a place that we can go to watch old things. All the warm, fuzzy member berries it brings. It's a special little spot tucked away on D-Live. Enjoy the joy of Pessy. Campy old movies and old cartoons. We hope to see you over there very soon. It's our special little spot tucked away on D-Live. Enjoy the joy of Pessy. When we were kids and there wasn't any school, we'd sit and watch all the best cartoons, eating cereal until it was noon. We never thought that 30 years later it'd still be cool. Saturday night and cheesy movies, the ones that used to show us boobies. It's our special little spot tucked away on D-Live. Enjoy the joy of Pessy. Enjoy the joy of Pessy. Enjoy the joy of Pessy.
Now with less than 3% sport content. It's the starting block on TAVshow.com.
Yes, welcome back to the block, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. And I'm sure you're all sick of the cricket talk by now, but I feel like I just need to reiterate what we're dealing with here as Australians watching this fucking series over in England, and the amount of dick sucking that the English do. I've just raced out and grabbed another drink, and I've come back to the booth, and I've adjusted the mixer and put my headphones on, and I look at the cricket coverage that I've got off in the side on a side monitor here, and they're actually playing like whilst England is currently 6 for 133, right? They're trailing by 130. They're playing highlights of Ben Stokes in 2019. These fuckers, the fucking innings that he played in 2019. Now, see, you need to understand the English mentality when it comes to cricket, why they are so fucking infuriating at times. Like, I don't have anything personally against English people, but always around Ashes time, there's something particularly fucking annoying about English people during the Ashes because they are so two-faced and so fucking hypocritical. In 2005, they won the first Ashes series, I think, in like 20-something years, right? And they caught, like, the captain of that team got a knighthood from the Queen because they won that Ashes series. And it's regarded, the English people think of that as like the greatest Ashes series of all time, right? They won it. The very next Ashes series, when they came out here, we beat them 5-0. Do you know what the English people call that Ashes series? They call it the Forgotten Series.
Nice, Gary!
Like it never fucking happened. The Forgotten Series. And so here we are. They're currently 2-0 down. This is why they suck. This is why we've won more Ashes tests in England than England has. It's because here we are, 2-0 up in this fucking series. We're currently on top of this game, and what are they concerned about? Oh, remember in 2019 when we drew the series and Ben Stokes had that one great innings? Wasn't that wonderful? Look at it. Let's play highlights of that. Fucking hell, man. You got to live in the moment sometimes, boys. You got to take your opportunities.
Paul Collingwood got some ridiculously low score and got nodded for it.
Yeah, Sir Paul Collingwood, yep.
Yeah, it was the series in Australia that they won, and they done that stupid dance at the SCG or some shit.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
And he got some horrible batting numbers, and because he was part of the team, he got knighted. And Warner used to feed it to him. Warner used to feed the fuck out of him. He's like, "How are you a fucking knight? You didn't even do anything."
One of the best stories I've heard.
Speaking of Warnie, Damo, good time to go to Fans Love Their Warnie biopics.
Oh, we will. Just very quickly, though, before we do that, where is the Warnie thing? I had it up here. Where's the Warnie story? I did have it here somewhere. Fuck, where is it? I guess we'll just have to talk about it. For some reason, I don't have the link. But before we get to that, just very quickly, I remember Kerry O'Keefe telling a story about Paul Collingwood. And so, obviously, the former English cricketer. And so he was at a ground, right, during an Ashes series. And apparently there was like a guy he was talking to Paul Collingwood, like for an interview, right? And there was a guy who walked past wearing a Collingwood Magpies fucking AFL shirt. And there was some Aussies like around there who started singing "Good Old Collingwood Forever," like the AFL team song. And apparently Paul Collingwood turned to him and tipped his fucking hat, thinking that they were singing to him. Oh, what a flog! What a fucking flog! Oh, mate.
Shane Warner's gone on record to state that he's sledged to Paul Collingwood, quote, "You got an MBE, right, for scoring 7 at the Oval. That's embarrassing."
Oh, to be fair, Collingwood did have the last laugh, though, because Warnie's now dead.
Nice, Gary!
So he did win in the end. No, so, the show about Warnie that came out, Greeno, earlier this
so
about a month ago.
After all the hype, all the advertising that just was
there was
drowning.
A lot of hype, wasn't there?
There was a lot of coverage, a lot of ads on the 9 Now app.
Did you watch it? Like hand on heart, did any of us watch it? I didn't watch it. So
I watched the first 2 episodes.
Oh, there's episodes. I thought it was like a movie, so I'm glad I didn't fucking invest in it now because I thought it was like a one and done situation.
No, it was a major drama event.
It's Warnie. Yeah. Okay. He takes a couple of wickets. He fucks a couple of slappers, and then we're done. Right? That's how it works. Yeah. Take some Rogaine or whatever it's called. Rogaine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, they it is a series. I think what they've tried to do over time is remember that series they made of King's Cross, Channel 9?
Underbelly.
What was it called? Underbelly. That's right. Yeah. So that was such a huge success that they thought, fuck it, let's get on top of that. And they started to make more and more. And as time's gone on, it's gotten worse and worse. And this Warnie series, I'm sorry, was fucking atrocious. The actors that they even picked for it, like Shane Warne, I mean, there is a fair resemblance to the guy who's playing the lead character.
Yeah.
But he's standing next to another guy talking about cricket, and I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And it was Steve Waugh. Absolutely looks nothing like him. And they have to keep referring to the person in the series as Steve Waugh because you don't know who the actual guy is. It just seemed very rushed. They seem to.
He died like a year ago. It seems like a biopic is something that should have been done like maybe a decade down the track. But like when they could kind of tell the true story, because this seems like a bit of we'll get the thing out there. We'll we'll tell the story that everyone kind of knows. I'd like to see some like real behind the scenes like shit that we didn't know about Warnie. You know what I mean?
What didn't we know about Warnie though? Like
what they did, right? For an example, in the series, so Warnie and Kevin Peterson go back to the hotel room with a bunch of girls from a nightclub.
We know that about Warnie. That's well known.
So this is when he was still married and his wife was moving to England. So she was in the process of packing the house up.
She found out about it. She found out about it by reading the paper. She saw pictures of him in his underwear on the balcony.
So, I'll just hang with me for a second. So KP and Warnie took these girls back to the hotel, back to their apartment. And the series shows him going, like, getting a little bit comfortable with this woman, and then he comes to the realization, no, this is wrong. Then he walks out, and it shows him walking down the street at the camera, and it kind of goes along the lines of, but did that actually really happen? And then
that did not happen.
And then it rewound back to being in the apartment and then them making out. So they're kind of throwing 2 storylines here without actual fact. You know what I mean? So they're going, well, this possibly could have happened. That possibly could have happened.
Yeah, we know the first thing didn't happen.
Yeah. Well, then his wife moved over there, and then she saw the newspaper article just like as she arrived. The house was still not unpacked and things like that, and then she went back to Australia. But there were a few instances like that in the series where they went two possibilities, and I think another one was the hearing with Cricket Australia in regards to the bookmaker scandal in India.
Once again, not the true. Yeah, didn't tell the true story. Told.
No, they no one really knows the true story, so they kind of had to make it up.
And don't do the fucking program then. Like, how hard is it?
And so I think it was like it was rushed in two sense. It was rushed in the storyline, and it was rushed to like it's too early since his passing.
Yeah.
And I just think that Channel 9 thought we need to get on top of this before anyone else does. Let's do it now. So it was a bit disappointing, but yeah, that's...
And not surprisingly, no one fucking watched it. 528,000 out of 26 million people that live in Australia watched the program. Outrated by Dancing with the Stars. Now, I didn't even realise Dancing with the Stars was still on in Australia. And apparently it is. And still hosted by Daryl Summers, believe it or not.
Is it really?
It really is.
You're joking. That's incredible.
I shit you not.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like the best news I've had all week, that Daryl Summers still has a gig. That's fucking fantastic. Nice, Gary.
To be fair, though, Daryl Summers has got a gig because his production company owns Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, yeah. Daryl's a fucking very, very, very wealthy individual. And has been for a long
Daryl
time.
employs Daryl, and Daryl takes care of Daryl.
Well, Daryl is like the 19. Let's be, if you're not aware of who we're talking about, Daryl is like the 1980s/1990s version of Rove McManus, basically. Like he started an empire and hired his friends, and made a fucking thing out of it, and which is what Rove McManus did, more or less. Mm-hmm. But he was following the Daryl Summers model. It needs to be stressed. Half of the Logies that Rove McManus won, Greeno, should be handed over to Daryl Summers.
Daryl Summers,
in fairness.
Nice,
exactly.
I think he was the founder of Australian variety television. I think it obviously had been done abroad.
No,
Graham Kennedy.
You don't think so? Oh,
Graham Kennedy,
in
Don
Melbourne
May,
tonight.
all those kind of guys.
You're right.
What he did do though is he was smart enough. Him and Ernie Carroll developed their own production company that produced all that, and they were the first pioneers of kind of owning their own
Grundy,
program.
wasn't it? Is that right? Grundy?
Nah, that's someone else.
Someone else.
But yeah, Summers Carroll is kind of like big production company, and then that, and that's what other people piggybacked off, a la, like you mentioned, their Damo, Rove, and whatnot.
Yeah. And Working Dog.
And none of those programs are worth watching, any of them, to be fair. Anything under that Rove banner, terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Yeah, what? Well, okay, this is an interesting trivia. What shows were under the Rove banner? Obviously, the Rove show, which was just called Rove. Which I remember watching. Now, the project was fucking awesome, but that was not Rove. That was Working Dog.
No. The project is the nightly.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking of the panel
program.
Greeno. The panel was one of my favorite shows when I was.
Panel's great. Well, Working Dog is that Summers Carroll thing, and they just create nothing but genius products.
They really do.
No. Working Dog is Santo Chilaro and
Rob Sitch and stuff. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like that production company is similar vein to the Summers Carroll.
Utopia, fucking Frontline. There was the other one too.
Late Show.
Yeah, what was the Shadow Men? Was it?
Hollow Men?
Hollow Men, yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So everything, the Dish, the Castle. Yeah, literally everything they do is gold.
The one,
a river somewhere.
God You're Here.
The fishing show. Remember they did a fishing show, Greeno, and that was a fucking hit too. They can't miss. Everything they do is a hit. Those fuckers.
They do have the magic touch. Have they ever done a dud?
I don't think so.
Russell Coit was another one.
Russell Coit. Nice, Gary.
Nice, Gary.
Absolutely.
Thank God you're here.
Thank God you're here. Yeah.
Have you been paying attention? Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Now on the flip side, you had those weirdos that Tony Martin was in. That fucking, what were they called? The D Generation.
The D-Gen.
Yeah, and their one was don't forget your toothbrush, if I'm not mistaken. So,
No, that was no. You're thinking about the Doug Anthony All Stars.
Doug Anthony All Stars.
That wasn't Working Dog. That wasn't the D-Gen. D-Gen turned into Fast Forward.
And comedy.
So they
company.
kind of split. So half of them went. They had like Magda Szubanski in that. So they kind of went. Half of them did Fast Forward, and the other half went and did some of the Working Dog stuff.
Really? So they were all part of the same crew originally.
Yes, yeah. So
I didn't know this all.
Fast Forward.
I should have known that Greeno, when it comes to fucking trivia, Australian media, like TV comedy trivia, like I'm. It's like trying to argue with the king, you know. Like I'm wasting my fucking time.
Pointless knowledge.
Pointless
in the
knowledge.
dome.
I had no idea about that. So Fast Forward became. I thought Comedy Company was before Fast Forward.
They were around the same time.
Okay. Different people.
Thereabouts. I think Comedy Company was just before Fast Forward. They were the two big sketch comedy shows. So Fast Forward was Channel 7, Comedy Company was Channel 10, and they were kind of, but on different nights. But they were kind of the two comedy things.
Now, which one was Kim Gingell in, Greeno? Remember Kim Gingell?
He was in Comedy Company.
Fuck, you're good.
Nice,
Fuck you.
What's his name? Colin Carpenter.
Colin Carpenter. That's right. The Colin Carpenter show, Greeno.
That's right.
Okay, now we're going to have to.
That brought us Milo Kerrigan.
So Colin Carpenter.
No. Fast Forward brought us Milo Kerrigan.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, so Full Frontal, my apologies. Not Fast Forward. Fast Forward then became Full Frontal, and Full Frontal brought us Milo Kerrigan.
Okay, I'm going to have to look up Colin Carpenter now. The Colin Carpenter show.
While you do that, another Working Dog one off the top of my head was the Funky Squad.
The
Funky Squad, that's right. And Barjas.
Barjas.
But I think that was part of the Late Show.
Okay, this is Colin Carpenter. This is Australian comedy in I'm going to say like 1991, 92, about there, Greeno.
Late 80s, early 90s, yeah,
late
thereabouts.
80s, early 90s.
Job with the truth.
Let's see if it's funny or not, because you know when you look back and it's like it's never really as funny as you thought it was.
Yes.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth in that.
Proceed, Mr. Rogers. Thank you, Your Honour.
So I guess Colin Carpenter can be best described as kind of like an old school Big Lebowski character. Like he was a bum, wasn't he? He didn't have a job. Yeah, he didn't have a job or anything, so he was just a bum, right?
Mr. Carpenter. You are Mr. Carpenter?
No, that's my dad. He left when I was a little baby.
When I was a little baby.
To do.
Is your full name Colin Joy Carpenter?
Well, if we're talking Comedy Company for our American viewers, can you pull up a bit of Con the Fruiterer?
Con the Fruiterer. Oh, should we just go straight to Con the Fruiterer?
We just need to go straight to Con the Fruiterer because that's pinnacle. That's peak Comedy Company.
Do you know? I still do Con the Fruiterer impressions to this very fucking day, Greeno.
You rock up with a bit of couple of days. Let's see a bit of Con.
And I got the beautiful lettuce for the salad.
Now, see, I've mentioned on my podcast, we've mentioned on this podcast, Greeno, we've talked about the whole WOG thing in Australia. You know what I mean? And we love our WOGs here.
Oh, I don't mean to interrupt. BE found the greatest product in history the other day.
Yeah.
And what was it called, BE? Wogopoly.
Wogopoly. There was a monopoly dedicated to the Wog Boy. And what was the markdown, Greeno? Can you remember? It was like...
markdown, original price $39.99 down to a svelte $19 on sale. Still seems like overs, that $19. But what was it? The tagline was something ridiculous like, "Are you feeling souvlaki?"
Nice, Gary!
I shit you not. That's always worth $19 just for that tagline.
All right, so
Are you feeling souvlaki?
Now this guy here, you'll be unsurprised to know if you're from another part of the world, he's not actually from the Mediterranean. His name was Mark Mitchell, I think.
Correct.
Yeah,
he
was. I got one. I got a trivia.
Well, here's a quick quiz for you then.
Yeah.
Can you name the children's show Mark Mitchell also starred in around this time?
Yes.
Can't.
Round the Twist.
There you go.
Round the Twist.
Nice,
Which was based on the novels by Paul Jennings.
That's right. Spot on.
There you go. The family that lives in the lighthouse that has spooky adventures. Spooky and funny adventures. So this is a guy basically doing a racial. So this is like wog blackface, basically back in the day. Now this is the humour that Australians grew up in. It's wog face. Okay, we'll call it wog face.
Yeah.
So he's doing wog face. Now this is what myself, guys like me, Brad and Greeno, this is what we grew like. We were like 8, 9 years old when this was. The adults were laughing. Everyone was laughing. We all had wog friends.
This guy almost won a gold Logie, which
for
is kind of
this.
like
For
our
this.
Oscar.
Yeah, that's right. So this is a very white Australian male doing a character which is an ethnic fruit shop owner. Okay.
Anyway, gentlemen, look, summer's coming here again, and I got the beautiful lettuce for the summer. Have a look at that.
Beautiful.
This one here, beautiful. Put him in the water, couple of days.
Couple of days.
matter.
Put him in the water, couple of days.
I'll get you another one, doesn't matter. Because, summer's here, and it's the time for salad, beautiful, time for fruits, and Tommy will go to the beach to take it easy. My daughters, Rula, Sula, Tula, Vula, Fula. I teach them all to swim myself. But it's funny. Because when they get down to the beach, they forget everything, And they have to be rescued by the lifesavers. Sometimes 10, 12 times. All except for Agapi. Because, when she's splashing about in the water, waving. You know what they do? They get up and they shift the flags. What can you do? Last year, my mother, Aphrodite, she sees one of the lifesavers bending over to give to Sula the mouth-to-mouth restoration, and she loses her anger, and she hit him with a pole of the totem tennis. Now, I won't tell you where she hit him, but the lifesavers pull the bathers up like this, like that. I tell you, he's not going to be doing that for a while. But the trouble with the beach is so many people go to him, it's hard to get a good spot. So you know what we do? We send my mother, Aphrodite, down to get the spot, down early, in September. And she keep the spot, and it's easy to find him because he's the only one on the whole beach with a black umbrella and black beach towels. Because, Aphrodite, my mother, he's in mourning, because there was a death in the family about 26 years ago. But, it doesn't matter. The trouble with the beach these days is that too many crazy people going on there, the sun burning down, burning. And the brains of the crazy people starts to go flying, And they lose their brains, lose their mind. Because the other day, Marika and me, we were down at the beach, We had the baby.
Are we going to sit and watch this whole clip, or?
Well, there's only like 30 seconds left, so we may as well.
As long as he ends up with a couple of days.
We're falling asleep in the sun. Sleeping. Next minute I get woken up by people throwing buckets of water over me. And over Marika, my wife. Screaming out, keep them wet, keep them cool. They're digging trenches and they're using oars trying to get us back into the sea.
Look, the jokes aren't really funny. The jokes are kind of hacky, but oh God, he does a good accent though, doesn't he? That really
He's
is
spot
a
on.
fucking good. I guess it's Greek. I guess.
Yeah, it would have been Greek because that was the thing when you were growing up. Everyone who owned a fruit shop was Greek.
But I think it's just like general Mediterranean-ish, though, isn't it? Yeah, Greek, Italians. Again, we've spoken about it on this show, Greeno. They're all wogs here. Like, Greek, Italian, whatever, Maltese, doesn't matter. You're still a couple of days. You're still a wog, right?
You're still on Nick Giannopoulos' speed dial. It doesn't matter. I did see this one. Sorry.
As a kid, I remember, like you said, we all grew up to this sort of comedy, and there was only like 2 or 3 channels on the television. Yeah. And I remember as a child, I used to absolutely lose it with Glenn Robbins' character.
Uncle Arthur.
Uncle Arthur, yeah. For some reason, I watch it now. It's the dumbest thing ever. But as a kid,
so bad.
Yeah.
But we also got to remember, we used to laugh our ass off at Poiter on Full Frontal. You watch that now, and you're like, what the fuck was I laughing at? Like, it's not that funny.
I think the most I remember laughing when I was a kid, like a kid, was watching Mr. Bean, I think. And I remember, like, on the floor in tears,
that's
like
generational kind of slapstick,
holding my ribs, crying. Yeah. Like, I can't remember ever laughing that hard in my life as when I was.
We recently spoke about this, and it was with you, Greeno, and we're talking about, and and we both agree that now it's just like a bit of a nose laugh. My kids have recently found it on the TV, and they think it's the absolute best again.
What's that?
And it felt my kids found Mr. Bean on the TV, so now they're into it now, and they love it. And I'm just like, oh, it's not as funny as what it used to be. Yeah. But for some reason, I always pictured as a kid that Mr. Bean went on forever. But there's only a handful of episodes.
Yeah.
It just felt like...
Yeah, because we used to just watch the same ones over and over and over again off memory.
That's right.
I remember they used to play it at school. Like, we used to get, like, the video day.
Yeah.
And they just play the same VHS, which had 6 episodes over and over and over. So you just got to know them. I could pretty much tell you every beat of that beach episode he goes on because I watched it a million times, you know?
Isn't that like Faulty Towers as well? There's only like a handful of Faulty Towers episodes too.
Yeah, that only had 1 season.
It's like 8 episodes or something. Yeah.
Something like that, yeah, 8 or 12 episodes, something like that. And yeah, obviously an absolute cult classic. That's still funny, that show. Like, you watch that now, that holds up. Not many comedies do.
I haven't actually watched, like, I know that I have watched Faulty Towers, but I haven't actually sat down and taken note of consciously watched it. You know what I mean? Like, I remember I've seen it on TV, but I don't remember watching it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
So I should probably go back and go, okay, I'm going to watch Faulty Towers and watch it from start to finish and see what all the fuss is about, because I don't actually remember doing that. I don't remember any jokes from it. I remember Manuel and the Spaniard, cleaning a spoon, and I don't really remember any jokes or anything from it, So I probably missed out there, I think, on Faulty Towers.
I thought very similar. Like it was that popular that it was always on at some point, but I never actually sat down to watch an entire episode.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I think that was another one where they made us watch that in English class. I just kind of have a vague memory of that going, okay, we're doing satire or some kind of comedy, and it's just been an excuse for the teacher to whack a video on. They put on that and Mr. Bean. That's how we go.
I now realise as an adult that those kind of days were the days where the teachers went out the night before and that hung over. They just turned the TV on and shut us up.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, the Australian public school system. Now you're figuring out why all Australians are racist, ladies and gentlemen. It's because that was part of our education program.
It's making fun of ethics.
Yeah. Totally.
Exactly.
It wasn't. I was again speaking to you recently about this. It wasn't until I moved to England that I realised how offensive the word "wog" was over there. Yeah. Where it was just a general conversation over here. With there was movies made about it that were called it that. Yeah. And when I first said it over there, it was like I'd killed somebody, and it's an equivalent to the harsh word they refer to as black people, but I'm like, no, you can't be serious because
unemployed.
We've got
no,
it's they were like, you can't say that. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, we've got Australian actors who have background from Greece who have made movies called The Wog Boy, and they're like, shut up, you can't say that. Like, it's highly offensive over there.
Well, and this comes back to the point that Greeno and myself have made for a very, very long time. When you start giving words that kind of power, like where it can make adults kind of shrink into themselves and go, oh, you best not mention that word. And it's like, well, then you're now you're feeding the demon that you're trying to eliminate at that point, right? Because we were very casual with that kind of stuff. I don't remember anyone having any hang-ups about words when we were growing up. Do you? I don't. We would call and you know what? The wogs would call us skippies or krauts. I was called kraut. Yeah. I was called a Nazi so much growing up that by the time I became an adult and people would genuinely accuse me of being a Nazi, it was water off a duck's back. It's like, well, I grew up here and that because my mum was German, so it's like, well, whatever, I don't care. Like, oh no, you're actually a Nazi. Yeah, I feel like I'm 5 years old again in the schoolyard. Like I've heard it all before, mate. Fucking go fuck yourself. Oh, one of our best mates at school, Graham. Do you remember Camel? Were you mates with Camel?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Maybe you don't remember. Oh, no, actually, yeah, he might have been at my high school. So
he was high school, yeah.
His nickname was Camel because he was Egyptian. That was it.
Makes
That was,
sense.
Yeah. But he would introduce himself as camel. Like,
Look, there's this the director slash actor Kevin Smith has a phrase that like just kind of sums up like this whole kind of scenario really, really well. And he's always said, because he swear, like there's a lot of swearing in all his films. And he's like, and people are like, oh, don't you think you need to change it to get to a more mainstream audience? And he's like, well, when I swear in the movies, I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying to be offensive. That's just how I talk. And he's like, I don't see there being bad words, just bad intentions. You know what I mean? So like the reason behind the word, like the intent behind the word is where the offense comes, not the actual word itself.
yeah, totally. Yeah, it's
so
an
in that
endearing
instance,
thing.
like if you're going like, oh, that guy's fucking camel, like if you're saying it in a negative way of like, oh, fuck that Egyptian guy or whatever, that's different to like, hey, my nickname's Camel, or it's just about it's the intent behind it, which you can't put a black and white thing on that, so people don't like it.
I think a good example, going back to talking about Daryl Summers with Hey Hey It's Saturday, you watch that now and people are just mortified by the way that they spoke or the characters they portrayed, like
racism central.
Kamal on there.
Whispering Kamal. Yeah.
Whispering
100%.
Kamal. Whispering Kamal is still to this day one of my favorite bits of all time.
Yeah.
Fucking Whispering Jack, Whispering Kamal.
But even like, I guess Aussie slang was then incorporated into being an offensive language back in the late 80s, early 90s, because we are still to this day, we abbreviate a lot of words. Yeah. And, to call someone a Jap wasn't offensive because it was just short for Japanese.
Because we're fucking lazy when it comes to the way we speak.
Well, I remember doing a year 5 assignment and it was about Aborigines, right?
Abos.
So I was writing all in my thing, going, no, the Abos did this, the Abos did that, the Abos that. And I got it back and I got an F. I'm like, what the fuck? And teacher's like, that's offensive. I'm like, what is? And they're like, oh, you can't write Abos. And I'm like, but you gave me an F just because of that. I'm just shortening it down. That's what we do.
I've worked with abos who call themselves abos, and they would be offended if you didn't call them abos because, what are you, a soft cock? What are you being such a soft cock white fella for, hey? You white fellas are always fucking soft cocks about this shit, eh? You're like, it's bullshit, most of it.
It comes down to like the abbreviation of stuff and the lazy slang language that we always use. And you're right, like now we can't say it. And I think with work for like harassment policies and things like that, I always say that you have to know the crowd that you speak to. Like you don't go out there just to be severely offensive and racist or whatever. Like it's the person that you speak to. And I come from a community where still to this day, a lot of my best mates are Aboriginal, and I understand that the feelings that they can take from people that they don't know or their intentions or whatnot. I was quite comfortable around them. So I've seen both sides of the story in regards to that subject, but I think it just stems back to now that there's a huge culture of cancelling things now, and the lazy slang abbreviations is now hugely offensive, where before it was just, a way of shortening words because we are lazy.
A nice segue there, BE, because we're going to get back to the rundown. Damo, cancel everything. What are we cancelling this week?
I don't know. What are we cancelling this week? Tell me. Where are we up to on the rundown? I don't fucking know. I got Warning here. Is it this transport minister?
There we go. That's the one. We're cancelling everything.
All right. Oh, are you kidding? Is this real? This can't be real.
Yeah, this is legit.
Oh, my fucking God. This reminds me of the Nazi teapot situation. Do you remember that one?
Yes.
This is the fucking English, isn't it? Oh, no, it's Adelaide. Oh, dick move.
Yeah. Dick.
The Transport Minister says a bus sign in use in Adelaide for the past 3 years will be reviewed. We're going to review it after a complaint from a distinguished member of the Jewish community. Nice, Gary.
Nice, Gary.
Because the sign says "Hail Bus" and it's got a picture of a. You know what? I really like that. I'm going to make that into a T-shirt. That's Hail Bus. Look at that shit. Nazi buses, Greeno.
Nice, Gary.
In Adelaide. Transport Minister intervenes after Nazi
I want to know
complaint.
the alternative. How do you hail a bus then?
Stop bus, I guess.
Call for bus. Signal for bus, perhaps.
Oh, my
Foot out for bus. Stand in front of the bus.
Yeah. Hands up for bus.
This again, this goes right to what we were just talking about, though, right?
Yeah, intention. Like, that is not asking God, hey, man, if it said, Nazi salute bus, maybe, get involved.
At some point, we need to figure out that people aren't always intentionally trying to be offensive, yet some people are always intentionally trying to be offended.
Everyone's offended by everything.
That's
this
right.
Is what that sign's been up there for 50 years, and one person's complained about it now. I better look at it.
Yeah, and it's fucking pathetic. And to be fair, it doesn't matter what. Both
if
sides of politics are guilty
I'd
of
be
this.
I'd be embarrassed to be upset by that.
Well, no,
if you look at
it
that
wouldn't
and
be,
you're offended,
that person would never be embarrassed about anything they say because they probably feel righteous enough and they think that this is some kind of fucking crusade, I'm going to rid the world of anti-Semitism. Really? You're at a fucking bus stop, you pleb. Get on the fucking bus and shut your fucking mouth and put your headphones in like every other fucking pleb on the fucking bus wanker. But
Bus wankers.
Bus wankers, exactly. But see, and this is the thing. This is not a side of politics issue. Both sides of politics are guilty of this shit, falling over themselves. Oh, I'm so sorry. We'll fix it. We'll have a review. It's like at some point, someone needs to go. You know what? Just shut up.
It's just a distraction from fixing real issues. To be fair.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. They probably had some kind of spending report that came out that week and said, you know what? What's easier to address, the Nazi bus station or the spending report? Well, I think we need to eradicate anti-Semitism. This is a problem that's been going on for a long time. Okay, you've sold me. We're done. We're going to solve anti-Semitism now by pulling down this fucking bus.
Pulling down that bus, that'll fix it. That'll be front page. Thanks for coming.
Pathetic. Fucking pathetic.
Let's start wrapping up the show, I think. Let's do a stat man. How about the Giz, hey?
I'm a stat man.
It's hard because, one cheer on the dude, then I keep on forgetting he's a Kiwi.
Yeah.
But
the Americans probably didn't know he was a Kiwi. They were probably like, he's from the Australian state of New Zealand,
They did. The commentators were all over the fact he was from New Zealand.
Okay, good.
That was all good. But went over. He's the first driver in 60 years to win a NASCAR Cup Series debut. So never raced a NASCAR in his life. And everyone's like, oh, well, it's just all cars, right? You got to remember, this dude is driving on the opposite side. He's sitting on the opposite. He's shifting with his opposite hand. In a race car, he's only driven a handful of times. And he won it the first race out.
Now, don't forget also, earlier this year, he also got a podium in his first ever fucking professional rally event as well, driving around in the fucking bush on dirt and mud and shit. He's one of those guys that's just going to be fast in whatever the fuck he's doing, He's just naturally fast.
Very, very talented driver. So it looks like he mentioned in the post-race interview that he's got one more year left in Australia and then he's going to try and go to the US and see how he goes.
Oh, Shane, it didn't work out for Marcus Ambrose, mate.
Marcus had a pretty good career, to be fair.
He was a champ here. He might have made a living, but there's a lot more. See, the problem with if you try to go to NASCAR, right? The Giz is probably going to go very well on the road circuits, and he's going to fucking suck at the ovals.
Exactly what I said to BE earlier in the week. I was like, he's going to be like Marcus Ambrose. He's going to dominate on these tracks because NASCAR drivers can't turn left and right. But on the ovals, he'll probably struggle a little bit.
Suck. So yeah, and that's the problem. If you try to make a career out of it, well, you'll be remembered as a guy who's very good on the street circuits and very shitty on the ovals. And if you're going to be anyone who's anyone in NASCAR, you have to be quick on ovals because that's like fucking 90% of what they do.
It's only three.
First time I've done this particular race.
Is it really? Yeah, right. So it was actually everyone's debut then.
Well,
it's a little less spectacular then, isn't it?
They've done street circuits in other venues, but they've not done it. And was it Chicago? I think it might have been.
Chicago. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So when you consider that, then it's a little less it's still a huge achievement because he's beating guys who drive these cars all the time. But it was the first time for everyone on that track, so he's got a little bit of the playing field is leveled somewhat, it's everyone's first time at this track. So,
but he's never driven the car before.
Yeah, I get he's never driven the car before, but again, if the difference between that, say, and then going and making a career out of NASCAR is like night and day. You know what I mean?
I watched the the practice sessions and the qualifying, and they got him into the site studio there, and they were asking him questions about the comparison of the vehicles to the supercars and whatnot, and he said that their cars don't have side mirrors, where side mirrors in the supercar are like your warning sign. You hit one, you're like, okay, I was too close. So he said that his gauge in the NASCAR was that if he had no writing on the side of his wheels, then it was probably too close. And they were so fascinated with the way that he actually used the clutch in these vehicles, where the NASCAR drivers don't use the clutch.
No, because they're mostly in third and fourth gear all the time, and that's it. You know?
Well, even on the street circuit, they never used it, and none of them used the clutch. But he done the traditional V8 supercar clutch decompression
Heel
with
toe.
the downshifts,
Yep.
and the heel toe with his brake and accelerator, and they kept on going on and on about it. And he actually said in the interview, he's like, I don't know what it is with you guys, but you got some kind of like foot fetish for me, like straight out of the bat.
Yeah,
But
right.
you could see. I know, Greeno, you ended up watching the race after we spoke.
Well, tried to, because the coverage is fucking absolute
So
horse's
bad.
ass.
It's worse than
Every-
American football, man. It's so bad.
Every like 3 laps there was
Yeah.
a 3-minute ad break, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm fast forwarding. I'm like, oh, surely this must be the pre-race, and I'm like, no, like the Giz went from 6th to 3rd, all during an ad break, and I'm like,
I have
Are you gonna
tried
replay it?
so hard to get into NASCAR because I like in the racing games and stuff that I play, the ovals are so much fun because it's like it's really hard, but it's like constant racing all the time. Like you're always side by side with someone all the time, so it's so much fun. But to watch it is a punish, and it's not because the racing is terrible. It's literally what Greeno said. It's on for 5 minutes and then it's a fucking ad break. And I'm like, I can't do this. I can't. Like, Americans must just be so used to getting ad breaks every 5 minutes. I can't fucking do that shit, man. No way. It became infuriating.
I think I mentioned a BE. I'm like, it was like watching. Remember, the middle laps of Bathurst, where they try and give you like the first hour and the last hour with like no ads, just so you can enjoy it.
Yep.
And then the middle, they cram in so much. It was like that, but for the entire race, it was just brutal.
Yeah, I can't do it.
I stayed away from the result so I could watch it, and I didn't know that he had won, but I sat on that 15-second skip button pretty much most of the time.
Was
skip, bang. But that you will notice that, and we spoke about this, that it was traditional supercar Giz race. It was dive bombs on the inside in the corners,
Of course,
And
rubbing people up
because-
on the back. Yeah.
Yeah, and because they weren't using the clutch, his car was quite stable and solid, where you see their downshifts were like kicking out the back, and it was sort of the back ends were all over the shop. So he just sat behind their tail, rubbed a bit of their bumper, and as soon as they got into the corner, downshift on the inside, and it was just like it was like you'd seen it before and you knew the ending, but it was still live.
Yeah. I'm sure they got pissed too that this fucking guy came in from New Zealand and like racing in the Australian supercars series and just came in first race and beat them all. I'm sure that really rubbed him up the wrong way as well. And the fact that he's a very aggro racer as well. It's like he is someone who will push you out of the way. And I like I've complained about him like in our chat before, where I'm like, you know what, I'm kind of sick of the Giz because he's got this attitude where it's like he thinks he can push everyone else around on track. Yet if someone does it back to him, and there's a couple of people that do it back to him, like Brody Kostecki is one who I quite like, because Kostecki will throw it around just as much as Gisbergen does. Yet whenever he does it to Gisbergen, Shane's like, oh, that's not right. What's he doing that for? And it's like, well, hang on a minute. You fucking do this to everyone every fucking week, you fucking prick. You don't have no right to complain about someone being aggro with you on track. But I imagine it would be different for the Yanks, and they would be like, who the fuck is this guy? Who does he fucking think he is, So credit to him for that.
There could be, there's a probably very solid chance that there's a difference here, but I watched the post-race interviews, and it was like the second, third, and fourth driver, and they were just blown away by how good he was.
Yeah, right.
But you can just picture him back in their trailer going, "Who the fuck's this guy?"
Yeah,
I think they
right.
also don't care because they know he's racing one race and then he's gone again.
out,
So
yeah.
like, there's less of a threat. Whereas if he'd signed full time, it'd be a different story.
Yeah, he's not a fucking Jeff Gordon kind of situation, is he? You know, he's not
Yeah.
going to come out and dominate for the next 10 years. He's flying in and flying out. But it does make them look shitty, though. I think that's what they like. That's my point. Like, they would think of it later on and go, he kind of made us look like fucking amateurs. You know, he comes in for one race, never driven a car before, wins it, and then flies home. All right, thanks for that, boys. Had a fun had a fun time in America. See you next time, you know. And he sends off a fucking postcard, and they're still there racing for their careers. So,
Did you notice who? Sorry, just before you go on, did you notice who the other well-named driver in that
Jensen
race was?
Button, was it? Or?
Yeah, my wife's first love.
And I thought her first love was Lewis Hamilton.
No, she hated him.
No, it was Button.
Always
Jensen Button.
Button time.
And now it's George Russell, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the Rust dog.
Yeah, he's the new love. Yeah.
The F1 was on the.
To be fair, I fucking love George Russell myself. I really do. I'm a big fan of George Russell, man. I love
We
him.
were watching last week Austria practice, and the kids come in, and I was watching it, and they're like, "Where's George, Dad? Where's George Russell?" And I'm like, "Here we fucking go."
In Mum's bed, obviously.
Actually, the 2024 schedule for the F1 got released yesterday, and I made a few phone calls today. Yeah, so we're off to Singapore next year for the GP over there.
Gary!
Singapore would be fantastic, I reckon. Like
That's
a little
the night
mini
race, isn't it?
Monaco. Yeah.
Yeah. So we Karen put on a big show for me for my 40th. All the family flew up and had this massive party at my place, and I said, "Well, what would you like for your 40th next year?" And she's like, "I just want to go to the F1," and I'm like, "Fucking sold."
So
Which
she'd
one?
never been to a F1 race before?
Yeah, we went to Silverstone when we were over there.
Okay.
She's been to the Australian Grand Prix. We went to Monaco. We didn't not for the F1, but we went to Monaco just because the F1
Is there?
history. Well, I think we had a Ford Festiva, and I think we did
And
about 40
drove the
laps.
track. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. So it'll be her third Formula One Grand Prix. So
Singapore
looking
would
forward
be
to that.
Singapore would be a great one, I reckon.
I
Nighttime
had a friend.
especially.
I had a friend who went over there about 5 years back now, and she said it was amazing. Like
Singapore?
it was just an awesome experience from start to finish.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. We're dropping the kids off in Sydney, and we're heading over.
Doing it right. That's how you do
Fucking
it.
oath, man.
Very good. Well, let's talk a little bit of F1 before we go then, Damo.
Yeah, I really want to touch on this because, again, it gets back to a little bit of a sub-theme that's been, kind of bubbling underneath tonight's show, which is complaining about Pommies complaining. I'd rather watch cricket than F1. I wouldn't pay £5 to go to Silverstone. So this is, I think this is Aston Villa's greatest ever player, Gabby Agbon-Lahore, I think.
Yep.
Would he be Aston Villa's greatest ever player?
He'd be up there. I think he's played like 350 odd games for Aston Villa.
Which tells you roughly what standing Aston Villa has in the world of football. Like Gabby Agbon-Lahore is like their hero. So let's see what Gabby has to say about Formula One, the current state of Formula One. And this is on TalkSport, by the way. Let's have a look.
A game where I was saying, Josh, wasn't I, that you're going to get more viewers now, cricket, because of what happened. What happened with Bairstow, Stokes, how good he was.
Yep.
They're even firing them sixes in, them fours.
Yeah.
And then,
Stuart Broad giving
do you know what I mean? Yeah, Broad giving it a big back. The carnage that happened afterwards as well.
It sets it up nicely for
it
home,
sets it up nicely.
hopefully?
And this is the difference between now. I'd rather watch cricket than Formula One. Because I find Formula One boring now. I mean,
I've seen some of your responses.
Yeah, it's
when
boring. It's
Verstappen's
like,
one.
it's like people are saying you're going to go to Silverstone. No, I'm not. I wouldn't pay £5 to go to Silverstone.
Hang on. You're telling me if you got a VIP
No,
invite,
I
you'd
want to go and watch when it's tight. You know, when Verstappen and Hamilton were battling it out. Like,
Here it is. You fucking dick. These fucking Pommies, mate. I bet this fucking prick never said one word about how boring Formula One was when Lewis Hamilton won 6 championships, right? Not fucking one word was mentioned about how boring Formula One was. And trust me, Formula One was fucking boring when Lewis Hamilton was winning all the time.
It's boring now as well. So he's right about that. But it was also boring for the fucking 6 years Lewis was dominating.
Yeah. But look, for the last 20 years of Formula One, more or less, except for a couple of seasons here and there, there's always been one person dominating. There has. There was Schumacher dominated, and then Lewis Hamilton, and then Vettel dominated, and then Lewis Hamilton dominated, and now Max Verstappen's dominating. And that's just
I feel like there was always someone who could challenge that person, though. Like, I know Schumacher won, 6 or 7 championships? Seven. But all those years, there was always someone. Yeah, Vettel won 4. There was always someone close. Like, it wasn't being blown out where you knew the result. Oh, there were a couple of years with Schumacher, but
sometimes too, though. Yes, I agree. I don't have, and this might be controversial. I think you guys know this. I don't have the same level of hate for Max Verstappen that you guys do. I actually quite like Max Verstappen, and I don't think that he deserves the kind of the ire and the negativity that he gets. Honestly, I don't. I think that he's very good and very determined, and he's nowhere near as unlikable as Lewis Hamilton is to me.
I've never voiced my dislike for him.
Okay.
I've followed him through as a junior driver, go through the ranks, and now it has that resemblance of, because he's so good now, he's just like the villain, and the way that he speaks to his pit crew and his arrogance now, it's just like, what's the fastest lap? I'm coming in for the pits, even though I'm winning the race.
That shit.
No,
I reckon
that's not
amazing.
the issue. It's all the bullshit he was doing when he wasn't winning. Like, as soon as things aren't going his way is when you see the true Verstappen, and it's just such a fuckwit.
But didn't we think the same thing about Vettel, Greeno, though, when he was winning? And now we look back and we're like, actually, Vettel's was kind of like a good guy all along, and we just didn't recognize it, And I wonder if we're going to feel the same way. I feel like Verstappen's
Starkey fucking bowled the stumps here. Sorry, Woods just fucking hit him for 6 and a 4 off 2 short balls. Bowled the stumps. He's a fucking tail ender.
Yeah, it bounced the fuck out of him. Hit him in the head, Starkey.
No,
he's going again.
I want him fucking bowling at the stumps.
He's got another 4 too. Don't let him get a little fucking momentum going here. Don't let him do it. Jesus.
3 balls since the
we should have had him out for
break.
150, honestly.
And Woods just hit 10 off too. Sorry, continue.
With Gabby saying that he wouldn't go to Silverstone, I haven't been to all the other Grand Prix, but
just hit him for another 6. 16 off 3 balls.
Jesus, Starkey, what are you doing?
Bowl
mate?
at the stumps, you dickhead.
Yorker, now toe crusher. Let's see if there's a toe crusher coming up. Surely. Big in-swinging Yorker. The classic Starkey delivery. Come on. Silence as we're watching. No, he's gone another short one.
That's replay. No,
you got to remember Damo's about 30 seconds behind us.
I am. Yeah.
I was just while it's going to the next ball, I was just say that when Vettel retired the car on the last turn coming in the home straight, you could hear the entire Silverstone complex absolutely.
That's better.
Raw. It was massive.
I
should have hold him there.
When Vettel came in.
When Vettel was the main competitor against Hamilton when we were over there 2012.
Yep.
I guess a story in itself, story time.
Yeah. Vettel, Hamilton would have been McLaren back then.
I like
wouldn't he?
stories about pinatas.
Yeah. He was. So Karen got these tickets for Silverstone, a couple of day passes, quite expensive, and we had huge rain over there, surprise, surprise, for days and days. And I lived in South London. So we got the underground train to North London, above ground train out to Milton Keynes.
Yes.
Yeah, bruv. And we got the bus to Silverstone, and it was so wet. It was bucketing down. There was like 20,000 people in the campsite who weren't allowed to go back because it was just too drenched underwater, mud, whatever. We sat there in the piss and rain, and the qualifying got called off for hours, and we're like, fuck this is horrible. So we went back, bus back to Milton Keynes, above ground to North London, underground back to South London. Woke up the next morning, it was still piss and rain, and I remember Karen saying to us, like, let's just go to the pub and watch it. This is going to be bullshit sitting there in the track. Well, we get, like...
And it was
no
at that
race,
moment I proposed to her. It's at that moment I decided, like, this is the mother of my children.
Nah, yeah. I said, no way. You've paid so much money for these tickets, we're going to fucking go. So, again, North London, above ground, bus to Milton Keynes, piss and rain. We went around to the end of the back straight where it goes through it was like the turn before the pit access.
Yep.
We found a nice spot there. And as we sort of arrived in that vicinity, the sun came out, dry race, Mark Webber wins it. It was like one of the best days ever. It was so good. And then after the race, we jumped the fence down into the main straight, and Webber was like on the last turn where the podium is, and he's like, holding the trophy up, and it was going nuts. And we're like, fucking yeah!
It was
Imagine if
worth
we sat in the fucking pub and watched that. We would have been fucking...
Oh, you were filthy, knowing you could have been there. Like,
that's a fucking great story.
I like stories about pinatas.
It's a fantastic fucking story time there.
I think it's a nice way to end the show, I think.
Yeah, nice little happy moment. So Greeno's been plugging to get out of here for the last little bit, so let's get out of here.
Greeno was due for painkillers about 45 minutes ago. So.
That's right. Your guts are leaking out through the mesh. I forgot. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we don't have any plugs. We never have any plugs. BE, do you want to plug something? Do you want to plug?
No plugs.
No plugs.
Goodn.life, still under construction.
Goodn.life. That was on the rundown tonight. We never got to that. I don't know what that was about. What were we going to talk about with Goodn.life? I mean,
the threads.
Yeah, the threads. I still don't know what threads are. We never got to that story.
Elon's fucked up Twitter. Because he's taken away all the good bits and now wants people to pay for them, and so people Facebook has gone, okay, we're just going to replicate Twitter, call it Threads, and get people to sign up there. They got 10 million subscribers in a day yesterday, so they're basically doing trying to do old Twitter over there at Threads.
Wait, what? So what? Old Twitter, as in like
before Elon took over, and
so the kind of Twitter where you get banned for if you say a naughty word or that kind of Twitter, or what?
I'm not too sure on the specifics.
Are people seriously suggesting that the old Twitter was free of advertising and will continue to be? Because that would be a laugh as well.
It's another fucking six.
Another six, yeah, that's ridiculous. Fucking bowl at the stumps, guys.
Yeah, hitting sixes off Paddy. This guy's going to be the fucking Ashes hero the way he's going, this Mark Woodcat.
I quite like the match on a fucking losing team.
Yeah, to be fair to Mark, you know what? He's the one fucking English player currently that I really do like. He's the one. The English used to chant at Warney, "We wish you were a pommy." Do you remember that? Like when during the Ashes series?
Yeah.
And I look at Mark Wood, I'm like, fuck, I wish you were one of ours because I really like him. He's such a fucking character, and he's like, I don't give a fuck. I'm just out here play cricket. He's like a northerner. So like, I really he's going for it, man. It's fucking good on him.
Well, he's just turned it around. He's put on 24 runs in the space of 8 balls.
Yeah, he's laughing too. He's like, thumbs up, laughing. He's like, I quite like him. So I have at it, son. But
hang on, here we go. Up in here. Hang on. Is someone going to catch it?
Have we got it?
There we go. Well, that was an entertaining little fucking 5 minutes from Mark Wood.
But
he did what he had to do.
But how many runs did we piss away? How many runs did we piss away for that little fucking sideshow?
20 odd.
Yeah. See, that's 20.
So I'm saying it's big. He did what he had to do. Like a tail ender scoring 20. Paddy just got a fifer, obviously.
Yep. I mean, if we can get him out, it would have been better if we can get him out for less than kind of 150. But if we can get him out for less than 200,
if we get an 80-run lead,
yeah,
we can get out these final few in 16 runs.
Yeah. Yeah, like we've won the last 2 tests, by 70 runs and 40 or something like that, was it?
Yeah.
So
it was like 2 wickets. Yeah, 2 wickets and 40.
Yeah, 2 wickets and 40. And so 2 tail ender wickets you would say would be worth about 40 runs, wouldn't you? So yeah, it's always been around about the same. So you were right earlier in the show what you said, like, oh, look, we're not fucking dominating, but like but the thing is, we're 2-0 up. So the series we are dominating, because if you're 2-0 up in a 5 series, you're dominating that series, right? It's like it's so hard to come back from 2-0 up. But each game, it's like if you're playing a State of Origin and you lose the first 2 games 5, by 1 point, doesn't matter. You're fucking getting dominated in that series because you've lost the 2 games, even if they're close or not, it really doesn't matter because it's not all about one game. It's about the whole fucking series of games. So, we're 2-0 up. I don't think they're going to win this game. But, shit like that worries me because we can't let them get inspired. We can't let them. Yeah, I want to put them on put the foot on the throat.
Yeah, 100%. I hate to say, the whole momentum thing, but if England win this, suddenly 2-1 doesn't look so bad. I don't think they're going to win 3 in a row. They might draw the series, but
I want to win.
The series. Yeah.
We drew the last one. Remember how much me and you, Greeno, especially, I don't know if you probably felt the same way, Brad, but I remember distinctly talking with Greeno about it on the show, being like, why the fuck aren't we going for the fucking series win here? Because they did the dumbest thing, for the 5th game, they subbed out. Didn't we change half of the fucking team for that last game? It's like, what are you doing? We're winning. We need to win this fucking series. We swapped out bowlers and batsmen and stuff. It's like, what are you, rotating the squad now? Let's fucking win. And it's like, oh no, we've drawn a series, we've retained the Ashes. That's good enough. No, it's not fucking good enough. You need to fucking win the Ashes.
Yeah,
that's the whole fucking point. Do you remember that whole thing?
Not specifically, but it sounds familiar.
Oh, mate, the last game of that 2019 series, we changed basically half of the team out. And we should have been going for the series win. But instead, they were like, we've already retained the Ashes, so who gives a fuck? And then we ended up losing that last game, and then we drew the series instead of winning it. And it was so fucking annoying. It's like, no, this is not the way we do cricket here. This is not the Australian way. We should be going for the fucking series win. I don't understand it. It was never explained either why we did that, why we rotated half the squad. Because they were like, I guess the management at the time or the coaching staff at the time felt like a draw was good enough.
I just looked it up. No, the squad was the same, man. Warner, Harris, Labuschagne. Marnus kept his thing because he filled in for Smith. Wade, Marsh, Payne, Cummins, Siddle, Lyon, Hazelwood.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that the 4th test?
That's 5th test.
So what was
England
the 4th test?
England won the 5th test.
Yeah. The 4th test, Australia declared twice.
And then 4th test, we obviously won that one. Australia won by 185.
You had Harris, Warner, Labuschagne, Smith, Travis.
Yeah, it's the exact same line.
Tim Payne, Pat Cummins, Stark, and Lyon. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, then it must have been the way they played then or something. Because I remember having these conversations.
Yeah.
It was
play shittily and
play aggressive. Go for the win. Don't play safe, Okay, I don't know where I got that memory from then, that they changed half the, I guess because they played so differently.
We played so poorly in the 5th game because we knew we'd already retained the Ashes. Yeah. So it was just a really lackluster effort.
Conservative. They played real conservative or something, and it's like they didn't go for the win. And so you got to go for the win. You got literally nothing to lose. In
the 3rd test, we got bowled out in the first innings for 179, and there were pretty much everyone was single figures except for Warner and Labuschagne. And then we bowled England out for 67.
Oh, that's 67. That's incredible.
Top scorer was that Joe Denley with 12.
Wow. He should have retained his spot. Why didn't he get a run in this team then? Poor old Joe Denley.
Hazelwood took 5 for 30.
Yeah, right.
Gave up 30 out of 67. Should have dropped him.
We got another one. We got another one, did we? Is that 9 for?
Did we?
I think that's 9 for. No, it must have bounced.
One of my favourite Ashes series in recent years was, and we talk about it a bit, is the return of.
Oh, no, Smitty caught it
with the Mo.
Mitchell Johnson. Yeah, that was a great series because Johnson really just tore them a new arsehole.
Oh wait, no, it's a 6. What the hell?
The whole Jonathan Trott thing for me was particularly satisfying because he literally ended careers in that Ashes series. Jonathan Trott went home from fear from Mitchell Johnson, you know.
Was it Trott that went home?
Yeah, it was. He quit. Yeah, he quit like 3 games in and he went home. They said it was like, oh, he's depressed and stuff. And it was like, no. He literally came out and said, oh, no, you know, Mitchell Johnson's fucking scared. He said it's the scariest bowling he's ever faced in his lifetime or something like that. And he went home. And then Graham Swan quit after the next game too and went home as well. So that was 2 careers that were ended by Mitchell Johnson during that series, which is just fucking beautiful because they tried. Hey?
No, you're right. Keep going.
Yeah, so it was at least Jonathan Trott and Graham Swan. They both finished their careers during that series. They both left, and I think Trott left after the 2nd or 3rd test, and then Graham Swan left 1 test after it. If I'm not mistaken.
I'm sure. Yeah, you're right. No, you're right. I'm thinking of there was an opening batsman. Was it Trescothick? Maybe he went home early as well.
Trescothick, I think, was a little earlier. I think he was like maybe mid to late 90s, wasn't he? Marcus Trescothick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bit earlier.
Do you think Jimmy Anderson's done after this series?
Oh, he's got to be done at some point, doesn't he? Like, he's 40 years old. Yeah. Graham Gooch played till he was 41, but he was a fat batsman. You know, it's a bit different to being a fast bowler. You know, Jimmy's, look, like, let's, all jokes aside, Jimmy's a great player and has been for a long time, but the fact that he's not playing this test, like this test that they need to win, like that should be enough, right? Like that's the signal, isn't it? This is a test, a must-win test for England if they have any hope of winning this series, and Jimmy's not there. So that tells you that the English, you know, cricket fraternity has decided that Jimmy's career is over. Because otherwise, he'd be fucking playing, wouldn't he? You know, like if they still considered him like a match winner, he'd be there, but he's not. So, you know.
Did you get that sense that he just wanted to have 1 more Ashes before he calls it a day?
Maybe. I mean, I feel like he's probably going to play county cricket until he's 50 years old. You know,
he'd go for it.
He'll be someone that never retires. Like he'll never retire from cricket. They'll just stop picking him. You know,
he'll be one of those guys who'll be a captain coach.
Yeah, he will. Yeah, absolutely. He'll be Des Hasler. Like he'll be Cliff Lyons. You know? He'll be Desi Hasler played out until he's 40. He is 40 already. But yeah, the fact that they haven't picked him for this match, which they need to win, is enough for me to decide that England has decided that he's not their future. You know, like, clearly he's not, but like they've already made the call. You know, whether he knows it or not, and he might play in the 5th game or something. He might play in the next game, but the fact that he's not playing in this game is I think indication that it's probably time up for Jimmy.
Yeah. He might have got his last game at Lords, and he might get game 5 if the series is already decided.
Yeah, and a send-off, you know, like he'll get a parade or, you know, a lap of honour kind of thing. What do you think, Greeno?
I'm waiting for the show to end, mate.
Oh, he's just waiting to get out of me. All right, then.
Go on, then.
No, Jimmy's done. I think that's the end of Jimmy. He's finished.
He's done. All right, and so's the show. See you next time.
See you guys next week.
Thanks, guys.
We'll always be bosom buddies, friends, sisters, and pals. We'll always be bosom buddies. If life should reject you, there's me to protect you.
If I say that your tongue is vicious,
if I call you uncouth,
it's simply that.
Who else but a bosom buddy?